If you've ever gotten out of something via a food catering truck, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. That's right, it's Tuesday, and we are moving along through this week. We had more earnings last night, more set for tonight. And then, of course, we have CPI and PPI coming Wednesday and Thursday. So perhaps another calm before the storm day? We shall see. It's great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today. I hope that you all had a wonderful rest of your Monday night. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Tuesday edition for August 11th, 2026, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. It is great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today, and I hope that you all had a wonderful rest of your Monday. As said from the outset here, Derek is first here today. Derek, good morning to you and everyone. Early bird gets the worm. Good to have you here. Welcome back. Peter, good morning. Welcome back. Always good to have you here as well. Alan, good morning. Crispy Biscuit, good morning. Welcome back. Ed, good morning. And it's a T3 Tuesday. Can't wait. Me too. We got one of our gunslinging Momo traders from T3 coming back here today. Should be fun. Ed also adding that Fermi had a nice move in the after hours. They signed a tenant. 15 years, Fermi. So that means two things. Number one, that means Adam Mesh, who gave out Fermi last week for you guys, that's in the green. But also it confirms 13's thesis on Fermi. Something we've been talking about for a while. So congrats to anybody that's holding that. Robert, good morning. Welcome back. Solitary Soldier, good morning. Welcome back. Yes, that girl, good morning. Welcome back. Pot G, good afternoon. Good to see you from Belgium. Welcome back. Jay Wild, good morning. Whisk, good morning. Brett, good morning. Producers locked in and ready to go. Chuck, good morning. Good morning. Thanks for all your help. Chuck, we do what we can here. Thanks for all of your participation and support. That's what drives us forward here. So you the real MVP, Chuck. Good morning. Samaritain, good afternoon. Sunny England. All right, good deal. We got good weather over there in England. Let's go. Get ready for another great day here today. John McSwain, Grand Rising, everyone. Hey, we'll take that. Good morning to you. Welcome back. Bernhardt, good morning. Welcome back. HP Darkside Hemi, good morning. Welcome back. Janie, good morning. Welcome back. Dara, good morning. Carlos, good morning. Just passing through, good morning. And Tyler, good morning. Dimebag, good morning. This is an interesting question here from Dimebag. Does anyone think SpaceX that this is the new floor? Now, remember, SpaceX, we talked about this maybe breaking 100 and going under. It didn't do it. Ended up recapturing 125 and then the IPO price of 135, sitting at 137 here in the pre-market. So I guess Dimebag, the question he's actually asking here is the rollover done? Was that first bounce it? And is the near-term bottom in? My personal view, no, it's not. I think we probably do test a little bit lower. And if I had to tie that to a market event, I would say the seasonal turmoil that we get around September and around the midterms might be the actual catalyst that drives that lower. My thought is that no, we have not put in our near-term bottom yet. But I make many mistakes. I could very easily be wrong about that. I would like to get an idea from the group. Do we think the SpaceX low is in? And you know what else, producer? I don't know if you had a poll idea ready for today. Perhaps that one can be a poll idea if we don't have something this week. Dimebag, good question. Gary, good morning. What's shaking? You bacon. Durkus, good morning. Welcome back. G-Cord, good morning. Robot to Trade, good morning. Kelly, good morning. We got together in God we trust. Good morning. Daniel, it's great to see you. We're casual around here. Don't need the mister. Brett, hyping up the producer. We'll take that. There you go, Brett. Duddy, good morning. Welcome back. Linda, good morning. Who else am I missing here? James, good morning. And Up 30, good morning. Up 30 says, let's go. So you know what? Let's get started with our stock market today. Green arrows across the board ahead of Tuesday's open as this earnings season continues to roll on, and the results have been great. really good earnings season so far. S&P futures up 0.16%, Dow futures up 0.10%, and the NASDAQ futures leading the way higher, plus 0.32%. Also, oil is higher here today by 0.25%. CL futures up 0.25%. Now, let's take a look at some cues from last session, as well as what we can expect here today. Get you all set for the market. Energy, healthcare, and communication services stocks reported the biggest gains on Monday, pushing most S&P 500 sectors into positive territory, while real estate and utilities lagged, even as U.S. stocks settled mostly lower, with the Dow falling over 50 points and oil and treasury yields jumping. The U.S. stock futures were mixed on Tuesday as the Dow S&P slipped and the NASDAQ indices rose following Monday's lower close. They've all since moved into the green. Brent crude oil futures climbed 2.52% to 89.93 as President Trump demanded that Iran pay compensation for historical damages and deaths, dimming the hopes of a deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and that is according to Reuters. The new demands complicate peace efforts following Tehran's insistence on the end of sanctions before reopening the vital shipping lane. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.73%, and the 2-year bond was at 4.03%. The CME Group's Fed Watch Tool projection showed markets pricing a 51.9% likelihood of the Federal Reserve hiking the current interest rates during its September meeting. Now, we've got several stocks in focus here for you today, and none of them should be a huge surprise. The first one is, in fact, going to be Rocket Lab. The ticker is RKLB, and it dropped 8.95% in the pre-market on Tuesday, despite record revenue. 2.36 billion order. Excuse me, sorry about that. 2.36 billion order backlog and strong third quarter guidance as a wider than expected loss per share of 8 cents and uncertainty regarding the Neutron rocket's maiden launch timeline loomed. The next stock on our list is going to be Plug Power. The ticker is PLUG. It gained 10.94% as it reported second quarter revenue of $178.3 million, which beat analyst estimates. Well, its adjusted loss of 7 cents per share also topped expectations. Gross margin improved to break even from negative 13% in the first quarter, while service revenue jumped 82% year over year to about $30 million. The next stock on our list here is going to be AST Space Mobile. The ticker is ASTS. It slipped 3.26% as it reported second quarter revenue of $31.5 million. This missed analyst estimates, while its loss of 77 cents per share also fell short of expectations. The company's revenue backlog grew to approximately $1.3 billion in contracted revenue and U.S. government awards. The next stock on our list is going to be CoreWeave. The ticker is CRWV, and it fell 0.73% ahead of its earnings scheduled to be released after the closing bell today. Analysts are expecting a loss of $1.49 per share on revenue of $2.55 billion. Supermicro Computer rounds out our list here. It was 1.59% higher ahead of its earnings scheduled to be released after the closing bell today. Analysts expect earnings of 88 cents per share on revenue of $11.45 billion. All right. Tried to blow my nose quickly there, so I didn't have to pause for it, but couldn't quite make it. Let's go back to Benzinga Pro here, and let's take a look. Well, the computer needs to not freeze. I'll go back to Pro as soon as I can here, folks. Oh, my heavens to Betsy. Let's take a look at the SPY chart here and see where we're at and where we might be going here today. It's a lot similar, very similar to yesterday. We're still moving sideways here, and we're still beneath the breakout level of 776.85. That is absolutely going to be a key upside level. Honestly, the fact that we haven't broken away and dropped from this is very, very encouraging. Earnings continue to come in quite well, and I think that that is going to help us stay near these levels. So for me, the key levels today are actually going to be very simple. I'm not even really going to look at 760.28 unless we break this low from Thursday last week. That value, by the way, is going to be 676.46. So we're currently at 774. Did I just say 676? Geez. 767.46. 767.46 is the actual number we need to be concerned about. We're currently at 774.50. So to me, this seems like a reasonable support level. And if we stay above that, the chart, at least on the daily here, is still going to look bullish, like it wants to challenge one of these upside levels here. Now, just as we said earlier, or yesterday was Monday. Just as we said yesterday, PPI and CPI are largely going to be the biggest events this week. So no matter what we see here on the chart, no matter what technical levels and key levels we come up with, all of that can change depending on what happens with those reports. And we're going to stay on top of those here this week as they come out. But this is where we're at with the SPY. Let's see if we can break 776.85 to the upside for a new all-time high and a possible breakout and move higher. That would be absolutely delicious for those of us that are alongside traders. Okay, let's get back to the news here and take a look at some insights from analysts here. We're going to go with Jeremy Siegel here today. Professor Jeremy Siegel maintains a bullish outlook on the U.S. economy and the stock market, viewing recent labor softness as a transition rather than a recessionary signal. He argues that the job market has entered a new equilibrium where modest monthly payroll gains maintain stability, believing headline employment weakness is largely driven by temporary distortions. Regarding monetary policy, Siegel expects the Federal Reserve to hold interest rates steady, noting that unless oil prices spike significantly, quote, it will be difficult for the Fed to justify raising rates at its September meeting, end quote. A central driver of his optimistic market outlook is corporate strength and technological innovation. He highlights that corporate America continues to deliver remarkably strong earnings, structurally driven by heavy tech investments. Looking ahead, Siegel anticipates a potential, quote, AI-driven acceleration, end quote, in productivity. If businesses manage to produce more output with fewer hours, quote, the economy may be entering a more favorable long-term productivity cycle, end quote. That's supporting sustained stock gains and easing inflation. Ultimately, he concludes that the broader story remains one of an economy that continues to adapt, innovate, and demonstrate remarkable resilience, end quote. And in case you needed a reminder, do not ever bet against the United States stock market. You think it might move down and you might want to capture some alpha on the short side? Okay, that's different. Do not bet against the American stock market. Okay, looking at the economic data that is upcoming here today, July's NFIB index of small business optimism data will be released by 6. That's already out. Didn't really have much of an effect. July's existing home sales data will be out by 10, and the Federal Reserve Bank of New York's second quarter household debt and credit report will be published by 11. Not expecting a whole lot from either of those, to be quite honest with you. All right, let's get back to Pro here. Let's talk about some of the news. And yep, we're going to start with Riot. So I know that several of you folks trade this pretty regularly, or at least watch this when you're watching Bitcoin here. Riot has actually been in a pretty interesting spot on the chart. We're absolutely trading sideways. We basically came down from the high 20s handle, found support at the 200-day, tested it twice, almost tested it a third time before this nice little pop that we have here, and stocks up by 15.15%. Now, the good news here is that, first of all, we've used the 200-day as support, so we can continue to do that. We did gap above the 20 and the 100 here today. We'll see if we hold those. Those would be downside key levels for us to hold throughout the intraday session here today. But ultimately, we really want to see that 50-day get taken out. In fact, the last 2 times we moved up to it, one time we peaked above it, the other time we came in just short. Could not break that. If we do break that, next big resistance is going to be up here at 28. And I don't think it's just 28. I actually think it's like 28 to 29-ish in there. That should be some pretty sticky resistance. Now, let's take a look and see what's going on here with Riot, because there's some earnings news, but there's some other news as well. Riot Platforms, ticker RIOT, that stock traded higher on Tuesday after the company reported second quarter results after Monday's market close. The rally may also have been supported by short covering activity, with nearly 15% of the public float sold short. As far as those earnings go, revenue rose 14% year over year to $174.2 million. That beat the $152.1 million analyst estimate. Riot reported an adjusted EBITDA loss of $69.7 million, compared with an adjusted EBITDA of $495.3 million a year earlier. The results included more than $240 million in non-cash charges, including a $75 million Bitcoin mark-to-market loss, $98 million in depreciation and amortization, and a $28 million impairment related to construction assets in its Rockdale mining facility. Riot ended the quarter with 11,380 Bitcoin, valued at about $666 million, and more than $1.2 billion in liquidity, including $549 million in cash. Data center revenue reached $23.2 million and generated $6.5 million in gross profit during the quarter. Recurring operating lease revenue more than quadrupled from the first quarter to $4.9 million from $900,000. The business generated an 84% gross margin and about $4.1 million in gross profit. Tenant fit-out services generated $18.3 million in revenue and $2.4 million in gross profit. That's down from $32.2 million in revenue in the first quarter due to lower activity. Engineering revenue more than tripled year over year to $37.3 million, while gross margin climbed about 27% from about 7%. Engineering backlog reached $177.1 million, with roughly 90% tied to data centers. Riot also increased manufacturing capacity by 25% in 2026 as it works to convert its engineering backlog into revenue. Riot produced 1,587 Bitcoin during the second quarter, or an average of 17.4 Bitcoin per day. Deployed hash rate reached 44.4 EH per second, representing about 4.6% of the global network. Bitcoin mining revenue totaled $113.7 million, with an average hash rate utilization of 87%. Riot generated $10 million in power curtailment credits, helping reduce net power costs to 3.6 cents per kilowatt hour. Direct mining costs were $49,912 per Bitcoin. Riot had secured about $9.8 billion in contracted data center revenue after signing a 191 megawatt 20-year lease with a leading frontier AI lab at its Rockdale campus, according to its existing agreement with Advanced Micro Devices, or ticker AMD. The new lease is expected to generate $9.1 billion in revenue over its initial term. Revenue could reach $16.1 billion if the tenant exercises 2 5-year extension options. Riot expects the agreement to generate $7.3 billion to $8.2 billion in net operating income, or NOI, representing an 80 to 90% NOI margin. Together, the AMD and AI lab agreements cover 241 megawatts of contracted IT capacity at Rockdale. Riot expects the contracts to generate about $520 million in average annual revenue and $416 million to $462 million in annual NOI. Riot expects to deliver the first 96 megawatts in December of 2027, with the remaining capacity scheduled for June of 2028. The company estimates development costs of about $2.1 to $2.3 billion, or $11 million to $12 million per IT megawatt. To fund early development and long lead equipment purchases, Riot secured a $573 million interim financing facility from Morgan Stanley, ticker MS, as it works towards permanent investment-grade financing. AMD also exercised an expansion option that doubled its contracted Rockdale capacity to 50 megawatts. Riot is building an additional 25 megawatts, with 10 megawatts expected online in November of 2026 and the remaining 15 in May of next year, 2027. The full 50 megawatt AMD deployment is expected to generate about $63.6 million in average annual revenue and $51 million in annual NOI. That's supported by approximately $170.2 million in capital spending. At Corsicana, Riot signed a non-binding letter of intent with a single prospective tenant for the entire campus. The site has 1 gigawatt of fully approved utility power and could support about 756 megawatts of critical IT capacity. During the earnings call, CEO Jason Less said Riot's Corsicana data center campus is under a non-binding letter of intent with a single tenant for the entire site. He said a lease covering the full campus could generate more than $1 billion in annual rent once fully deployed, though he cautioned that negotiations remain subject to uncertainty. Across its portfolio, roughly 1 gigawatt of capacity is either contracted or involved in advanced commercial discussions, while total utility power capacity does exceed 2 gigawatts. So Riot with a pretty good piece of news, pretty good earnings. The stock's actually at a pretty interesting spot here on the chart. And I really do think that we could get some more upside movement here in Riot, even if Bitcoin isn't really like going crazy. I still think there could be some more upside here with Riot, especially if we can get above that 50-day moving average. But we'll see how it goes. Okay, next story here. This one has me chuckling. Right in time for the new school year. Right in time for the new school year, Anthropic's Claude just got a hidden watermark that follows your AI written text everywhere you paste it. Sorry, college kids, you'll have to go back to Spark Notes like the rest of us used to do. Anthropic is embedding an imperceptible machine-readable watermark directly into text generated by new Claude models, making copied AI output easier to trace as schools, publishers, and other organizations grapple with undisclosed machine-written content. IPO-bound Anthropic on Monday said Claude models launched on or after August 2nd will support marking from launch. The watermark, quote, doesn't change the meaning, quality, or readability, end quote, of Claude's responses. It travels when users copy and paste text and may persist through some editing. The marking applies worldwide across supported models used through Claude, Claude Code, Claude Cowork, Claude Tag, and Anthropic's API, as well as through Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Foundry. Anthropic is also working to retrofit older models and plans detection tools for third parties. The move follows Anthropic's commitment to the European Union AI Act's transparency framework. EU rules require generative AI providers to make synthetic output identifiable in a machine-readable format, aiming to give users clearer signals about content provenance. The technology could matter particularly in education. Anthropic recently launched Claude for Teachers, expanding the chatbot deeper into classrooms as educators debate responsible AI use. Watermarking could give schools another signal when investigating whether students submitted generated work as their own. Publishing faces similar pressures over AI authorship and training data. Anthropic recently secured a final approval for a $1.5 billion copyright settlement with authors, highlighting how generative AI continues to collide with questions of authorship, ownership, and of course, disclosure. That said, the watermark is not foolproof. Anthropic says heavy editing, paraphrasing, translation, or mixing Claude output with other writing can destroy the detectable signal. Very short passages may also provide too little material for reliable detection. A detected mark also does not prove Claude originally wrote the material. Using Claude merely to proofread, translate, or summarize human-authored text can leave a watermark. That is per Anthropic themselves. Anthropic is not alone. Alphabet, of course, ticker GOOG and GOOGL. Alphabet's subsidiary Google DeepMind already embeds its Synth ID watermark into Gemini-created text by subtly adjusting token probabilities without visibly changing output quality. So we'll see. I absolutely have my money on at some point this fall, before the holidays, we will see a story about some student getting kicked out of school or getting failed or getting dropped because he tried to submit a paper and the watermark caught him. They're just gonna keep trying it. I mean, look, we've all been there before. Just picture it. It's 11 p.m. the night before. You got a 7:30 a.m. class. You got a paper due, and you spent all your time at the bars. So you're going to have to do something. I guarantee somebody gets hit by this. The other thing here is that very clearly they're already kind of admitting, if you will, there are workarounds to this. So there's going to be some back and forth with this. I just thought it was funny that this was released right before the school year starts. Good stuff. Okay, next story here. AI could come for Rocket Lab's launch capacity as space data centers emerge. CEO Peter Beck sees a real opportunity. So Rocket Lab and ASTS, of course, reported earnings last night. We'll start with that. That never happened, Ryan. Lol, who told you? Like I said, man. I've been there. This is interesting. Derek, isn't Notepad the workaround to this watermark? So it says that it follows you. So I think what you're saying is that if you copy it out of Claude, paste it into Notepad, and then copy it out of Notepad and paste it into your paper, it sounds like the watermark will still be there. It will still kind of follow you around unless you change the text. Ultimately, for anyone that used Spark Notes, even back in the old days, rumor has it dinosaurs were still roaming the earth back then. But back then when we used Spark Notes, we would read what the thing said, and then we would type up our own interpretation in our own words, and you would never get busted. And it's like, that is still the case now. Not trying to encourage anything, just saying. Just saying. Rocket Lab reported second quarter revenue of $234.07 million. That beat the consensus estimate of $231.35 million, while the company reported a second quarter loss of 8 cents per share. That missed the estimate of 7-cent loss per share, and that was according to Benzinga Pro. For the third quarter, Rocket Lab guided for revenue of $250 million to $265 million. That was above analyst estimates of $238.53 million, and it expects an adjusted EBITDA loss of $17 to $23 million. Rocket Lab also sees artificial intelligence creating a new source of demand for space infrastructure as companies explore moving data centers and computing capacity into orbit. Now we're talking. Rocket Lab CEO Peter Beck said during the company's second quarter earnings call on Monday that he sees space-based data centers as a legitimate opportunity, although he remains cautious about how large the market could become. Quote, "I think it's a real opportunity," end quote. Beck said that when asked about the feasibility of these orbital data centers. Rocket Lab has already introduced new solar cells specifically targeted at the application, and Beck said the company would be well positioned if orbital data centers became a meaningful industry. Quote, "If they turn out to be a real thing, I think we'll be pretty deeply entrenched and well positioned to capitalize on it," end quote. Glad you're confident there, Beck. The potential emergence of orbital data centers comes as Rocket Lab sees launch capacity becoming increasingly scarce, with AI infrastructure adding to demand from satellite constellations, defense programs, and other space applications. Beck said that even new launch capacity from competitors is already being committed to internal programs. Of course, he's referencing SpaceX, and that includes internet and AI data center projects. Quote, "A fair chunk of that capacity is already spoken for," end quote, and adding that he expects the constrained launch environments to persist, quote, "for some time," end quote. The rapid growth of AI is pushing companies to explore alternatives to traditional data centers, with power, land, and cooling becoming increasingly important constraints on all of the terrestrial infrastructure. Space Exploration Technologies Corporation, or SpaceX, ticker SPCX, their executives have already pointed to solar-powered orbital computing as a potential solution, arguing that space could provide abundant solar energy without the same land and water constraints faced by the data centers here on Earth. So again, I totally think that orbital data centers are coming. I also think that 13 outlining that, hey, these aren't going to be like these big campuses floating around in the sky. Instead, they're going to be a small constellation of satellites that do compute on them. That makes a lot of sense to me. Lucky says, wouldn't we just get the AI to write it and then retype it ourselves? Exactly. My producer said, can you just retype the text from the Claude answer? LOL, no copy and paste. I think you could. I would still recommend changing a couple of words, but I digress. I don't want to get too far down into cheating. That's no bueno. I don't want the juju. Okay. Now, we talked about Rocket Lab, AST Space Mobile. They are targeting 45 satellites by early 2027, and we're not betting on Blue Origin's New Glenn. So what's going on here? Now, of course, they also reported earnings. So ASTS, the company during its earnings call reported an EPS loss of 77 cents per share. This missed market expectations for losses of 28 cents per share. AST Space Mobile reported revenue of $31.52 million for the quarter. That was also beneath the street estimate of $34.98 million. Meanwhile, the company had earlier announced partnerships with major European mobile network operators, including Vodafone, which is ticker VOD, and more to develop a satellite-based cellular broadband network. Company had also launched its 3 Bluebird satellites on board SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket. So not relying on Blue Origin there. AST Space Mobile President Scott Wisniewski says that the company is testing an early 2027 launch timeline for deploying 45 satellites. During ASTS Space Mobile's second quarter earnings call, Wisniewski was asked about the company's target for satellite deployments. Quote, "We have 10 launches booked with 2 different providers, and we're targeting a cadence of every month to 2 on average," end quote. When asked for a specific number of launches with providers like Blue Origin, he said that the Jeff Bezos-backed company had, quote, "made tremendous progress to date," end quote, after the May setback when its Neutron rocket exploded during the static fire test in Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. He goes on to say, quote, "They're targeting this year. We're not betting on that necessarily," end quote. That was Wisniewski, adding that the company would be happy if Blue Origin pulls it off, but, quote, "we're not betting on that in our numbers," end quote. He then said that AST Space Mobile was targeting early 2027 for our initial 45 satellites. So right off the bat there, if we get any news here that Blue Origin's ready to go a little bit earlier, that could actually positively impact ASTS Space Mobile's numbers here. Interesting. A nice little tidbit there. We'll see how it shakes out. Andrew Johnson, the company's chief financial officer, then chimed in about the cost per satellite that the satellite designer was incurring. Quote, "We've been consistent now for several quarters that we are falling between 21 million and 23 million per satellite," end quote. He also said that the cost was inclusive of launch and labor, while adding that AST Space Mobile, over the life of the 90 satellites, felt good with that number, end quote. Johnson then said that the company was working on bringing its costs down, of course. Quote, "We've seen several growth opportunities across government communications and non-communication opportunities, including radar, emergency response, Internet of Things, AI edge compute, and other advanced connectivity solutions," end quote. That came from Abel Avalon, the company's CEO. Wisniewski said the company had 3 new U.S. government contract awards with a funded near-term value of more than $100 million, with revenue expected in 2026 and 2027. So we'll see how ASTS Space Mobile does. I really can't wait to see how the group's going to trade any of these. I think I'm going to ask our guest about this as well, see if there's any trading coming up there in any of these names. And then really quickly here, I did want to mention this. I won't take long here, but I did want to get this story out here because AI is the biggest thing that we've been following and trading here. OpenAI has reportedly completed a deal to help employees sell nearly $7 billion worth of the company's shares, and that is, of course, ahead of its potential IPO. So they're letting some of the folks that work at the company cash out here. The Sam Altman-led company repurchased shares from existing as well as former employees rather than relying on external investors for the tender offer. And Bloomberg reported this yesterday. Startup's valuation remained unchanged at $852 billion following the deal. OpenAI did not immediately respond to Benzinga's request for comments, but again, with anything AI related here, we'll bring you any of those updates. Secondary sales have been a critical aspect of the ChatGPT maker's strategy in the run-up to its initial offering. In October, the company completed a $6.6 billion tender offer at $500 billion valuation, following a $1.5 billion tender offer in 2024. In June, the company confidentially filed its prospectus with the Securities and Exchange Commission, but it hasn't shared any official timeline for its IPO. However, some reports later suggested that the company may actually push the date back until 2027. According to PitchBook, OpenAI's CFO Sarah Friar favored waiting until 2027, while Altman was more keen on a September 2026 listing with a $1 trillion valuation. The research firm stated that the market activity around SpaceX, their public debut, spurred concerns over investor reactions to a large-scale tech listing. Oh, you mean stocks just don't go up every day? How about that? As the company moves closer to its IPOs, investors are expected to scrutinize the issue SpaceX faces, which are whether massive capital expenditures can translate into sustainable profits and whether private market valuations can continue to stand its ground under public market scrutiny. So it's great that the private market is saying that these things are worth all of that, but when they go to the public market's like, I call BS on this. OpenAI, we'll see when they end up IPOing. I personally hope that they IPO this year. I think that would be fun. But whenever they IPO, I'll be ready for that. Whenever they IPO, I will be ready for that. Okay, let's get over to our guest. It's a T3 Tuesday. Let's bring on JR Romero. JR, good morning, my man. How you doing?
How are you? It's good to see you, buddy.
It's always good to see you. Sorry for being a couple of minutes late here. Needed to get through that. Did you have a screen that you wanted to share today, or should I drive for us?
I can share screens. Sure.
Okay. Awesome. And I'm just gonna start off here. First of all, I hope that you're well. I'd love to hear what you're trading recently, and I would be especially interested to hear if you're looking at any of the space stocks, whether it be SpaceX or any of the other attached stocks to
it. Sure. So let me. Can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So SPCX has been an absolute hoot. We shorted it at 160. I'm still short the stock, and I've been playing the leverage ETF to hedge the short to the upside every day. So we made money to the downside, to the upside here. I think SpaceX probably has room to 150 before it either rolls right over or produces a new balance range. So we'll see what happens. I'm definitely making a bet to the downside. They have a monstrous amount of compute coming online that's already been pre-sold, and it's something that the market isn't talking about, which I think has been exerting a lot of upward pressure. The 104 handle has been the line in the sand. You can see here they tried to break through several times and were unable to crack 104 in the big even number there. So you're getting a little bit of a technical retracement here with also good news, some good news piling on. Post earnings, I think you're getting a bit of a relief pop there. So you see the anchored view up here is exactly the 382 retracement, and on top of that you have a little bit of an overhead supply zone here. This is a pivot low where you're gonna find a lot of supply here. Buyers who bought this dip are going to become sellers most likely in the interim. It'll probably force SpaceX to pull back significantly and retest the 21. If they can't hold that, you're going much lower. So obviously the problem everyone's talking about, and this was the most obvious short in the history of shorts off the IPO, was the fact that you only had about 4.5% of the float becoming available with multiple months of relentless dilution. So it's been a great trade in both directions, and we're watching it every day. It's been oodles of fun.
Yeah, it has been a great trade here. We actually talked with Sami Abusad not long ago. He was talking about this moving lower and him being in puts, and he gave us a great little breakdown about how he stayed in the trade there. I love what you're doing here. So you have I don't even know if you want me to call it a price target, but you think the stock is moving lower, so you're staying in your short despite the bounce. But during this bounce, you're actually playing one of the levered ETFs to kind of pair off some of the losses from that short bouncing back?
Yes.
That is okay. So that's a really, really good way to play that. And sounds like you're going to close that position as it bounces up, and when it rolls back over, just start raking in the money again from the short.
We played the SPCH to the upside, SPCX to the downside.
Boom.
I think you're running into a technical wall. It's a 382 fib retracement. It's the anchored view up from the open of the IPO, right? So this is your dollar cost average right here, and it's the pivot low. It's the pivot low right here, where you had all this accumulation, failed accumulation that led to a secondary liquidation lower into the 104 handle. So I'm seeing upside into that 150 handle, and then I'm seeing a rollover.
Okay, awesome. And that, let me tell you, that is I asked just kind of for your opinion on SpaceX. We got a full-on breakdown there. JR, can't thank you enough for that. Swing trade with JR for free inside the Sultans of Swing virtual trading floor. I love the dire straits, by the way, so your O is going to get me.
I know. I'm a big Mark Knopfler fan. When
dude,
they said we want to do a swing trade.
Unbelievable. Sorry for digressing there. That virtual trading floor is next week, August 10th through the 14th. QR code is on the screen. We make it real easy for you to sign up. Free content.
Yeah, it's actually going on this week.
Did I say next week? I apologize. I apologize. This week it's going on right now. The 10th was yesterday. Wake up, Ryan. Sorry about that, JR. Really good breakdown there on SpaceX. Let me ask you, you talked a little bit about a whole bunch of AI compute coming on for SpaceX. Are there any other AI names that you really like right now, that whether you're either in them, trading them, or you're kind of waiting for an entry into position? Are there any other names out there that are really kind of
AI names that I like? Well, the as you may have noticed, post SNDK earnings we're consolidating and taking a breather here. What I found encouraging was the breakaway gap in HPE yesterday that so far held. I'm looking for HPE to build a secondary base. A very strong note out of Morgan Stanley on HPE, and I think we have a measured move to $84 coming here, but we need to build a new base. You'll see. I think that the semiconductors have been a little bit overly beat up in the past couple of days, so I'm expecting a short-term bounce here today or tomorrow. We have CPI though coming up, I believe, tomorrow. So today's going to be, I think, a difficult day to look for a bounce, but perhaps after a softer CPI print, we see a nice bounce in the semiconductors. Micron, SNDK are all attempting to put in bottoms here. So if you look at SNDK, by the way, it's been a tremendous trading vehicle. There isn't a day we don't take a scalp in SNDK where we're not pulling $60, $80 out of this thing per trade. It's just been absolutely bonkers. So SNDK has been in a very orderly mean regression channel here. And you have your most traded volume right there at 1417 or so, which also matches at 21 perfectly. So if they get this over 14 and a quarter, I think you're going to see a nice juicy short squeeze to the upside and a move right back to the distribution top around 1900. So I think we're going to be in play shortly on SNDK. Obviously, post earnings, they defended the $1,000 handle, which was important, or you see massive high volume nodes for here on 1098, and then into the volume gap fill here around 1,000. You see there was just no transactional interest to take it any lower. So I think 1,000 is going to be a strong base of support here. Whether we have another retest of the $1,000 handle with a nice shakeout bar, a nice juicy type of facey shakeout, and then a move higher, I think is going to be in part dependent on the CPI print, and I think in part just dependent on the rotation du jour. This market's been absolutely wild in its rotations. Some days they really hit the gas pedal on the DIGV and move software higher, which has been fantastic. In the room in our primary VTF, we bought for like long-term portfolio management, Snowflake and NOW and CRM and Oracle months ago, and it's just a pleasure to see those really gather some strength here out of long-term bases and finally start to rebound. So the thing about this market is not only is it very sentiment driven and very macro driven with the price of oil, and now everyone's freaking out about the long end of the curve with the 30-year, going back to 2007 levels. You have to be also acutely aware of the rotations the market is is going through every day. You know, one day, you know, yesterday was all about basic materials and crude, and we went along. We saw this coming. We went long ERO, for example. It's a copper play right through the red line right here at in our swing service at 32.74, and I'm expecting copper to have a really nice run. You have some other bases that haven't gone yet. FCX looks ready to go. Alcoa is waking up. So, you have to really pay attention. You have to pay attention to the just wild, fast-paced rotations in the market, and really be aware of what's catching a bid that day as a day trader. As a swing trader, obviously, what we're focusing on is buying really strong, mature bases. For example, for today, we're looking at Lilly. Lilly had an earnings shakeout here at 11:08, right? Bounced right back up, and now you have a base that looks mature enough for a breakout through 1249.50, and we're looking at it today for a move to 1480. So you have to just be really in tune with the underlying macro stuff, and also the sector. Like, look at the XLV chart. The XLV looks ready to explode here. It's a more defensive sector, and within that, we have really strong volatile names like Lilly that just look ready to go. So, as a swing trader, it's been incredibly rewarding. We've been hitting a lot of home runs, but it's been not only a stock picker's market, it's been really a market that requires very precise timing.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you already mentioned that CPI print tomorrow. We'll see if that's a shiver in the dark or causes raining in the park, or in the meantime, we'll see if there's any other stocks that we can go over here. The question that I have for you is, what do you think about some of the hyperscalers or some of like the bigger AI names? The reason I ask is because we finish off August with NVIDIA's report, and I'm just wondering if there's anything that we can do to trade into that going into the print itself, or maybe even position for that print. Is that too far out, or are you thinking about NVIDIA earnings here?
Well, NVIDIA had interesting news this morning. They basically have a new financing structure. Bank of America reported that they signed MOUs with 6 top financiers to mobilize $500 billion in third-party capital via independent platforms. I don't know if you saw that headline. A lot of analysts are already giving this a thumbs up. Basically, the burden sits on the consortium, not NVIDIA's balance sheet, and it's a pivot away from vendor financing. An upcoming earnings call could provide some really critically needed assurance on the go-forward role in vendor financing, which has been a major pain point in the AI, in the entire AI space. A lot of concern, especially with Oracle, right? Oracle started the avalanche of worry in terms of financing and debt. So I see this as a potentially positive step. Bank of America revised their upside target on NVIDIA to $350, and we'll see if this step is followed by some other key players. So we'll see. I mean, I'm looking at SNDK here. At 372% year-over-year growth in revenue. They came in at almost was it $9 billion in revenue for the quarter. Earnings per share came at 39 and a quarter. They blew through expectations. Margins, I think, are 84%. And the market obviously had a bit of a freak out because the stock was priced for perfection. But I'm hearing analysts left and right saying that the memory crunch is going to be even worse next year than it is today. Yeah. So I see that as a hockey stick chart that's just going to go parabolic.
Yeah, I'm glad that you really quickly. I'm glad that you said that, because we've been hearing from the companies themselves, both the ones that are actually producing the memory as well as the ones that buy it, that they see that as well. And we get asked about SanDisk and Micron all the time because they're huge movers here. I got to be honest with you. I think there's still another upside move that we're going to see before this is all said and done. And it sounds to me like, they're just the supply is just so constrained. The demand is still there. This is going to go into next year, maybe even the year after. Maybe there's even more than one big move left for these names. So
yeah, I mean, I tried to buy a PC yesterday. The RAM upgrade was more than the computer. It was like
that's
$2,500
ridiculous, dude. That's
for 2 gigs
ridiculous.
of RAM. Yeah, it's gonna get worse before it gets better. So buy your PCs now. I guess I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's RAM used to be the cheap thing. I've been building
I
my
know.
business since I was 13 years old. RAM's always been the cheap thing. You could always get more of it. Now it's the most expensive thing. It's unbelievable.
It's crazy.
And my producer is reminding me this feels very much like GPUs during COVID times, where the prices are just being driven astronomically high. There's not enough to satiate the demand. It is what it is. So, okay, really good stuff, folks. Swing trade with JR for free inside the Sultans of Swing virtual trading floor. Can't believe nobody got my lyrics that I quoted from that in the last time around, but that's neither here nor there. That is going to run this week. It's running right now, August 10th through the 14th. QR code on the screen. Be sure to sign up for that free content. JR, anything you want to leave us with here today?
I would say pay attention to. There's a couple of developing stories that could have massive impact on the market. The 30-year bond is a concern. The 30-year bond yields of the USD JPY and Besant's very strange maneuver with the big swap facilities. You could have another carry trade panic coming up any minute. So right. we have to watch the dollar yen very carefully. We have to watch the dollar index and I don't say this often, but we have to watch the long end of the curve here because it could really stifle this market. And the other thing is pay attention to the market cycle, guys. I mean, if you bring a chart of the SPX up, okay, and I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer here. All right, we are at the very edge of the top of the trend line. Okay, we could go sideways here, correct through time, build a new base, and really punch through to 8,000, or we could have a little bit of mean reversion back to the 21 EMA or maybe the mid-channel line. So this is a time to be patient, okay, and a time to really be very picky. Be like a snooty French king. You know what I'm saying? Be very picky with your entries. Like you remember Mel Brooks in The Wig. It's good to be king. Be very picky with your entries and be patient because opportunities are everywhere. But if you're too overeager in this market, you're going to chase things that maybe perhaps you shouldn't be chasing. That are a bit overextended or a bit under pressure or a sector that isn't in play. So there's a lot of moving parts. And please pay attention to all those and protect yourselves at all times.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice here. Look, we got a Dire Straits reference. We got a Mel Brooks reference. We are winning Tuesday here today, JR. That is for certain. Really appreciate this. Really good breakdown on all of these charts. Again, folks, swing trade with JR for free inside the Sultans of Swing virtual trading floor going on right now, August 10th through August 14th. JR, good luck here today. Trade them well, man. I can't wait to catch up with you next time. Really good stuff.
Sounds great. Take care, Ryan. Have a great one.
JR Romero from T3. Lots of really good stuff there, including a SpaceX trade plan from start to finish, no matter what that stack ends up doing. So really, really good stuff there from our T3 guest. And really quickly here, just wanted to mention, Billy here said there was a guest on here last week that mentioned Fermi. Yes, that was Adam Mesh, originally of T3 fame, but was joining us to talk about his new drift show. Thought maybe he'd throw out a little golden nugget for you folks there, and hasn't even been a week, and that stock is popping here in the pre-market. So the next time that you see Adam, Billy, be sure to thank him. Be sure to tell him what a great call that was. All right, folks, we can do some ticker. How are we doing? Oh, man, we're good. We have plenty of time here. We're going to do ticker time. We're going to talk about some of the movers. We don't know yet what time 13 is coming, but don't worry, because in just a couple of minutes, I'm going to bring on Anne-Marie to help me break down some of the charts that you folks are looking at here today. Before we do that, we've got a streak tweet. Let's see what's going on. All right, this one comes from Bull Theory on Twitter, Bull Theory IO. Breaking: the Chinese robot maker Unitree was 8,000 times oversubscribed. 8,000x oversubscribed by retail investors at its $900 million IPO. So the IPO values Unitree at 219 times its 2025 earnings and 36 times its sales. Big key takeaway here: robots are coming, whether we like it or not. That's just how it goes. They're coming here whether we like it or not. Are any of you interested in an IPO that is 8,000x oversubscribed? Are you excited to pay 219 times 2025 earnings or 36 times sales for a Chinese robot maker? You'll have to let me know. Nonetheless, though, I am very, very excited to see how some of the robot production does, given how we kind of look at deliveries from some of the EV makers. Deliveries of robots is going to be equally important. I can't wait to see what these companies end up putting up, and I can't wait to see where we go with some of these robots. Last time we showed a video of a Chinese humanoid robot, the owners, I guess that you would call them, lost control of it, and it was swinging blades around like a madman. So hopefully things are going better this time around. Not great, less than ideal, as they say. All right, let's get back to Benzinga Pro here, and let's start taking a look at some of the stocks that you folks want to take a look at. Yeah, I would be happy to share my opinion on any of these stocks, of course. We'll also bring in the big guns, as we like to say. We'll bring on Anne-Marie. We'll see how she's doing. Oh, what did I just close something there, producer? Did I screw it up? No. Let's go ahead and bring on Anne-Marie. We'll even give her a sec. We'll give her the guest bumper. Anne-Marie, good morning. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I think it's funny to get the guest bumper. That's nice.
I mean, hey, I didn't want to just bring you on cold here. Maybe, you were finishing up a sniffle or doing like I was doing, trying to blow your nose or something like that. I just wanted to be as courteous as possible.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm always sniffling, like you. Allergies are my best friend, or at least they hang out with me all day long. So.
Yeah, they are pleased to hang out with me. I'm less than pleased about it. I did hear from my chat yesterday, it might be ragweed. That's actually the culprit here. Can't confirm or deny that, but it is what it is. Okay. All right, chat, this is your time to shine. What stocks do we want to take a look at? Anne-Marie, I will go with you. You always have some gems lined up for us. I'd love to hear what the charts are saying to you today.
So I found your last guest very entertaining, also informative, and totally agree, the best finger picker in all of guitar, Mark Knopfler.
He's
unbelievable.
unbelievable.
There is none greater.
Yeah.
None greater. Okay, so what the Benzinga Pro members and I did yesterday when we were together was we took a look at some analysis of all the stocks that had upside, not only upside earnings, but guided their earnings in essence forward. And so we have, I'll bring a little copy of this, but the big things to take a look at were just like, he talked about Lilly, and I do love that sector. It is very, very important, especially if the script flips and we have more democratic voices in the market making noise politically from a swing of the House/Senate, or whichever one they're voting on. Maybe it's both. I don't know. But we have Abbott Labs, 3M, Seagate, Bristol Myers Squibb, United Healthcare, General Motors had a double beat and adjusted full year end guidance. United Airlines, which I thought was surprising. UPS, Coke, UPS also surprising, especially what I think might be happening with jet fuel and diesel. But Starbucks, PayPal, Schwab, USB, and Ford. A lot of these aren't the names we watch typically, but I think they're going to be important ones. Arista Network, OKE, and of course, we know Palantir still running off the rails. So any of those would be on my bingo card. And so if there's one that appeals to you, let me know. Otherwise, we can just take a look to see if the run with SpaceX is really what's sort of dragging along cybersecurity with it. So the moment SpaceX goes, then we're looking for the close in Palo Alto, CrowdStrike, FTNT, and the like.
Okay. Well, so first of all, from the group here, the two that we have suggested, I'm not sure you mentioned either of these, but the two that have been suggested so far is Target, ticker TGT.
Perfect.
And Amazon, ticker AMZN.
Okay, so let's get TGT first. Hello, that's not right. Okay, so here we have Target. We're looking at weekly and monthly formations. This one's really looking nice. It's had really strong positive momentum since the year began. Really, if we take a look at a weekly chart and look at positive flows from a momentum perspective, it puts that weekly upward draft since January the 5th, price action continually taking off. So my thought is always, and let me remove that drawing, or at least one of them. My thought is always, when a chart's been in a really solid downtrend, and then all of a sudden it breaks out of that trend, we expect a retest. And, if I do my very best to draw a trend line, which I'm going to try right now, if my charts will behave, I can see that we've got ourselves an upward trend break, and it spent all of this time here retesting that upward trend break at around the 122 area. So that break there really does push it forward. The question is it long in the tooth? And so if you're looking at it and you've been holding it, then the question is, where's the place to take some profit? And remember, the hardest thing for an investor to do is take profit in an interim motion. But here's what we notice. Here's the last downward flow of the 100 moving average in that general direction. Then it broke well past it and collapsed well below it. And so are we looking for the same sort of retest? Because it's a 100, it's slow moving. And so my thought is, this one's getting a little long in the tooth, right? We've got the earnings from 2024. All of the earnings flows from 2024 came into the current price action that this chart is sitting in. So if we have continued upward flow, it could be all the way to 160. So if you're trading this and you're saying, okay, I'm coming into the next earnings event, which, what did they already? No, that's the 19th. What do you want to do? My thought is, any earnings catalyst that rockets the chart up is going to be a sell zone. Now, could it be all the way to 170? Absolutely, it could. But my thought would be, that would be a wick that would need to be sold. Yeah, I don't know if Target's, I don't really visit Target that, I don't really visit any stores, really.
Me either.
But yeah, I don't go there much, so I don't know what's going on in there. I know they had a few crazy policies, but whatever. What we do see is very nice upward flow, and the price action is very bullish. So you don't want to short it, but if you do take it long, be prepared for some kind of pressure event that could bring you back down into a frontline support area. Right now, it looks pretty good. So if you're saying, hey, let's see if we can get the last $7 up in there, why not? You want to take it on the 19th. Let's see where. Okay, so the 21st gives you 2 days, and it's already in the money at the call wall. Apparently, someone put in a 140, 150 spread, and that has been gangbusters money for them. And so if you want to do the 150, 160, 170 butterfly, I mean, it's $2, but the delta is 8. And normally we see butterflies like having a delta like this being about 2. But we're coming into the earnings, and so the thought might be, if it spikes and I'm willing to sit around for 2 days, I'm going to go ahead and get it. Just realize if this is wrong and it fades, that's going to turn to 1 cent very quickly.
Very, very quickly.
Yeah. So if you wanted to try it in September, it's cheaper and it could still give you that lift. And if you're the type of person that looks at these midterm cycles and says, well, wait a second, this price action ought to have some legs into the November state. I know a lot of us are swing short-term traders, so we're not really into that. But if you love it and you've been trading it, you could look at November and it's even cheaper. So,
I'll be honest. I'm kind of just like waiting out the whole midterms thing. I think that's going to throw a monkey wrench into a lot of the stuff that we're doing here. So to me, here in August, just that's too far away for me to make plans for that, at least right now.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick peek at Amazon here. Then we'll break down some of the actual smaller movers here. We'll bring 13 on and get that done here as well. But I would love to hear what the Amazon chart shows you there, whatever it's saying to you. Chart whisperer.
So, I have a lot of faith in Jeff Bezos. I think he's, I'm not talking about his personal decisions at all, or what he's deciding to wear these days. However, as a mind, the guy's brilliant, right? And he's had a forward-thinking mindset about Amazon since its dawn. And so you can see where my alerts are sitting, 303 to 325. Now, I have rolled, get this, since May, I have taken iron condors every single month through this cycle. And even when it broke down through my level, it returned to it, broke up through my level, it returned to it. I'm still sitting in the iron condor. Now my levels are 220 and 300. And so I'm expecting rotation that's up into those earnings events. But like all of the motion with Amazon, once it moves very far away from that 100 moving average, it has a tendency to come back. This is not your high flyer type stock anymore. It has its moments where it can run for weeks and weeks, but in essence, it still returns. And, they have still hyperscale issues that, like everybody else, that people are talking about. But from my perspective, any pullback into this breakaway area near 200, going to be a buy zone. If you're saying, whatever, lady, it's never coming back there, then you really want to see how has it behaved since its last earnings event. And it really has been a bit of a peat bog. Here's the earnings. That's the earnings candle. It broke out into our first targeted structure, 287. And that alert went off and disappeared. That's the thing I don't like about Thinkorswim. I want it to tell me that alert moved and then leave a note that it was there.
They need a
Anyways.
notification center for you.
Yeah, that says, hey, this
Yeah.
went off. Do you want to reset it? At least Meryl does that. And so it's just much, much easier. Anyways, what we did was we tested the base of the earnings candle. And so I suspect there is still upward flow. These little arrows right here are pivots, but they're related to the weekly formations. And so it's telling me we've got price compression, like everything. Are we waiting on the CPI? Potentially we are. And so the break here is going to be fairly important because a lot of people are just going to chase this break or have to chase it because, they're short.
Okay, so there, Amazon looks like it's going higher. Real quickly here, HC Luis, I believe that this is a custom one because Anne-Marie's a wizard when it comes to the studies there.
Second only to you.
What is the name of the indicator that gives you the red and green stripes?
Yes, that is a custom indicator.
Okay,
so I can tell you really simply how to build it. You can go to Grok, Chat, Claude, whomever, say, isolate the earnings candle, and then draw Fibonacci extensions to the north and the south of that earnings candle. That's the simple break.
Okay, I literally just copied that prompt as you read it. So there's no reason that anyone else could, and I typed earthlings. Isolate the earnings candle, Anne-Marie, not the earthlings. Yes. We don't need that.
No earthlings.
Okay. But first of all, I appreciate you sharing that. HC Luis, give it a shot. See what you come up with. See if it's helpful there. You can always ask Anne-Marie some follow-up questions on that.
Absolutely.
All right, Anne-Marie, I'm going to bring on 13 here. Yay! We're going to do a little power squad again here. Good morning, 13. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us. See how we did that, Anne-Marie? No guest bumper for 13, but we got one for you.
A travesty. A travesty.
An absolute travesty. Look, I'm going to tee 13 up here a little bit because one of the things that we talked about, there's already been mentions of it from the chat here. Adam Mesh came on and talked about Fermi. We brought you on to talk about Fermi right after you shared some of that research with Adam, which was awesome. Now we've got some news here on Fermi. And Anne-Marie, maybe this is a chart that you'd like to look at as 13 breaks this down. Fermi shares are trading higher after the company announced it signed its first binding 15-year lease agreement with TensorWave. Is this the tenant that you were looking for?
This is one of the two things that needed to happen with this company. Number one, they need a new permanent CEO because the other one was, had to step down, and they have an interim CEO right now. A lot of major hyperscalers have not signed on to for a lease from this company for space because they want to see that CEO that's in there that they can feel more comfortable taking a lease with this company. Tensor said, "No, we're good. Let's just get this this compute leased." So they have a 15-year lease agreement with Fermi. Fermi is still in the process of building up the natural gas platform for the for that power generation. So they're getting those turbines now. They're doing that construction now, but this is interesting because we have earnings in a couple of days. I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more about the TensorWave agreement and how soon we can expect some of that build out to go. So this is one of the two things we needed to hear.
And maybe we hear something about a potential CEO from the earnings. I don't know. I don't have any knowledge. I'm just throwing it out there. The only reason I'm throwing that out there is because we talked about the two things that it was going to need. Now we've got one of them, earnings in 2 days. We'll see how that goes. Now, here's going to be your daily chart here, 13. So real quick, I know we kind of talked about this before. Anne-Marie, if you have anything to chime in here, I'd love to hear it. What are we seeing on the daily chart after this move? And I'll be right back.
Take it away, Anne-Marie.
Oh, me.
I didn't know who wanted to go first, but I'll let you go ahead and go first. Ladies first.
Yeah. So this very interesting line at 778, I did not realize the price had come up that far. I can only see the current price right now. But that line at 778 is actually the high of May earnings. So they reported on either the afternoon of May 13th or the morning of May 14th, because that's what my earning candle measures. It measures the reaction candle, which would be not the day of if it reports after, but the following day. So whichever day they reported, the high was 778. I think the high pre-market is 791, perhaps. And so I'd put an alert at that 778. If you're looking to trade it intraday, it feels like it's lost a bit of momentum. I'd love to hear what you have to say about that. But the base that it's building, and it has been building since, literally early 2025, it's perfect. It's perfect for an upshot over the long haul. I'm not sure why. Has it had any reverse splits?
I don't believe it has. Let's take a look. No, it hasn't, because this is still a pretty new company. They're trying to get a massive campus built, and the problems they've been having is that they had a major anchor tenant drop out, and that's one of the reasons why it came down. So this lease agreement is the reversal of that. It's a big deal. They needed a tenant in here. They needed a new CEO.
Excellent.
But when it comes,
and they got both.
Well, they haven't got a new CEO yet, but this tenant agreement is one of the two things that we needed to see. So we're halfway there. So
and we have earnings in 2 days, so we'll see if
in 2 days. Now, when it comes to the chart, I'll go into that May 14th candle because I do think it's interesting. I believe that was on earnings, but when I look at this candle and what it did and what the price action that followed was, I see that to me, this looks like this was an attempt to break out into the, I would say, $8 area. Because when we came back in, we didn't revisit this area until June 16th, and we broke above that level and hit 8. Mm-hmm. And then we continued higher. So to me, I think that was, that earnings print was suppressed by sellers trying to get out around 8. That's just a guess, though, because I'm just looking at the price action and thinking, well, there's sellers that came in, the price went back down, the selling kind of subsided during the 5 handle, and then we came back up. We really took off beyond that 8 level, and then since that time, we were leaning on $8 as support up until July 7th when we lost that level. So to me, with all this price action, $8 is really standing out, and I think that's one of the reasons why you saw the price run up to $8.16 this morning and then immediately sell off, because there's still that $8 area still has those sellers that are looking to take profit or get out or do whatever it is they're trying to do. But as long as we hold above the 50-day SMA, I think there's still a good possibility for some continued upside. But $8 looks like the big resistance to me.
13. That's a
great
really
breakdown.
good spot there. Really quickly, that happened in the after hours, but nonetheless, that $8 level.
That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
After hours, sorry.
Yeah. No, it's quite all right. It doesn't actually matter. But that $8 level looks like that might come into play here again today on Fermi. So, okay, cool. It's awesome that we talked a lot about this, and then we got some action shortly after. We have some immediate things to go into. I'm sure we're going to take a look at these earnings there on Thursday as well. So, okay, awesome. You want to hit any more of these movers?
Sure.
How was the list?
The list is kind of junky. Okay. I looked at WXM, PLAG, and FRTT, and I can give you thoughts on all of these, but I think that they're at least 2 out of 3 of them are kind of just pump and dumps, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with those. I'm going to assume that WXM is one of those. This is WF International. This company is headquartered in China. It is up 165% today. It has a float percent of short good Lord, Ryan, 3.75% with 1 day to cover. So it's pretty minimal. Float is 2.2 million. Market cap on this is 11.3. So it's above that 5 threshold. But nonetheless, chart is trading higher here. I didn't see any news unless it was in this Form 6 after hours.
It's their earnings.
Okay. Well, I guess that was it. How was it?
I didn't get too much into it. I'm just looking at the chart because,
Go for it. I'll try and do that here real quick.
Yeah, it's basically, since we had the earnings print, this thing is more or less ridden its VWAP to the highs that it's had. You also can draw a trend line from the first peak we had at 435 this morning and just draw it through all the peaks that you see. The trend line hits every single one of them. That's the resistance I'm looking at here. If we do get another move up that takes us up to 14, it's to make it very simple. This thing has a very low float. It's probably going to get pushed around. It looks like it already has a little bit. But my support that I'd be keeping an eye on and is going to be VWAP, and the resistance is going to be at this stage probably about 1175 to 12. We don't have any closes above that level. We do have prints up in that area, going as high as 1396, which touches the trend line. So I could see another visit of the trend line, but I don't know that we're going to go a whole lot higher if we cannot get a close above that 1175 to 12 area.
Okay, that looks spot on to me. I asked you how the earnings were. I have my answer here. First of all, WF International is a small cap Chinese HVAC installation company. That's what they do. Here's how their earnings report was. I would throw this in the less than ideal bucket. Revenue fell off a cliff, dropping 73.4% year over year to 2.3 million. That's down from 8.7 million, primarily because of a wave of large real estate HVAC installation projects that had been rushed to completion in fiscal 2025 was wound down. Their revenue down 73.4%, gross profit down 36.2%. Oh, there's a bright spot though. Gross margin is higher by 7.8 points. Take that to the bank. G&A expenses plus 236%. Loss from operations plus 620%. Net loss plus 573%. Does not look like the greatest earnings report. I'm not sure why the stock is up 170%.
Probably because it reports maybe 2 times a year and doesn't get a whole lot of attention otherwise. So now that it has attention and people are looking at it and go, oh, this is a very low float. Let's take this thing for a ride. That's my guess.
Okay. It also did a 1-for-10 reverse stock split on June 4th. So this has a lot of makings of the ingredients of these crappy China stocks that sometimes make some outsized moves. Yeah. WXM, I think that's a pretty good breakdown on that one right there. Now, the other one here, is that going to be, is it Plag or Frit?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I looked at both of those. PLAG, Planet Green, is one that I looked at here. And as soon as I looked at this was already trading beneath its VWAP. And I was like, this doesn't look great. So it's probably not going to trade very well until it finds some support where it can turn around and recapture VWAP. In my mind, I think that $1 area is going to have to hold up, because when you look at the 65 EMA, that's down to 88 cents. It's going to be a different animal trading underneath the dollar. So I don't know that I'm really interested in this one being so close to $1 unless it can recapture that VWAP and show some strength. But for now, it isn't looking great. This one has a little bit heavier float than the last one, so maybe it gets taken for a ride. Maybe it's just too difficult to push around. But I really don't like the fact that it's flirting with the dollar again.
Yeah, this thing came from penny territory, went up to 160. We have the dreaded VWAP loss. We have no moves back above it. I would be patient and wait for that one. If you get it, great. If not, there'll probably be other things on deck here today. Nothing in the short interest for this. Float of 11.63 million, market cap of 8 million. That probably does it here. All right, moving on to FRTT. This looks like the last of the big movers here. This is a Canadian company. This is Fort Technology, and shares are trading higher after the company announced it will acquire 50.1% of Logia USA. I have no idea what that is. This thing went to 336, came back, lost the VWAP, tried to get back above it, simply cannot get back above it. Short interest on this. I actually don't have a float reading, although there's only 103,000 shares held short. 13, do you have a broker float reading on this one?
Yeah, let me see here. 4.28 million.
Okay, so 4.28 million versus 103,000 of those shares held short. That's not crazy, but there is some in there. And then what do you think about this chart?
I think I would just be on the side of, let's see what we get after we open here. We're still trading beneath the VWAP. We had a pop and drop, and after that drop, we have not recovered VWAP. We've actually drifted a little bit lower. It seems like we're trying to sniff out some support. We have the 65 EMA down around 125. Or I'm sorry, it's 122, but it's close to 125. I would say that's the near-term support, and I don't think this thing will trade very well until it's on the other side of VWAP. This deal, this 50.1% of Logia USA, this is going to be through a share transfer agreement, because I just looked at their balance sheet and they have no cash. Okay. So this is I didn't look at the math on how this share transfer agreement is going to work, but for the purpose of a day trade here, I think I would wait this one out until we get to the regular session to see where where the price action takes us. Maybe if it goes over VWAP, we'll have a much better time trying to trade this.
Okay, really quickly here, Wafu, this is one that we've traded before. This is a low float China stock. Again, we've seen this thing move like crazy. We've seen it come right back in. Be very careful. Wafu Education Group is trading higher after the company announced it signed 3 AI customization projects with one of the universities over there. No word yet. There you go. No word yet if they have the Claude watermark that we reported on in the A block of today's show. But nonetheless, Wafu, be careful with this one. We've seen it move before. We know it's low float. We know it's crazy. Negligible short interest, float of 1.24 million. The only other one from this that I really wanted to mention, and I'll turn it back to you folks for whatever stocks you folks want to take a look at, is going to be Babcock and Wilcox. This is on the movers list, but this is actually a real company here, headquartered in the United States. Babcock and Wilcox Enterprises shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q2 financial results. So this is now in a 12 handle, and it's looking like it's staying on there. This is energy technology provider offering energy and emissions control solutions for a broad range of industrial, electrical utility, and municipal and other customers. This basically cleans up some of the byproducts of some of the energy stocks. We've actually traded another stock like this before in the past that ended up not working out. But Babcock and Wilcox, excuse me. Interesting for 13. I can't remember. Did we talk about this being a Head and Shoulders when we've looked at this before?
I don't know that we did.
I don't know either. I just know that we've looked at this a few times. Several folks have shouted this out in the chat. I don't know if this is played out, if this is in fact a Head and Shoulders. Looks like the neckline's probably at like 14.5. Maybe it hasn't moved down enough. But this is basically the other stock on the movers list here today.
Yeah, and with regard to WAFU real fast, this had news right at the end of the regular session yesterday. So I think a lot of that move may have been put in. It's recapturing the 200 EMA on the 5-minute right now. So the 65 EMA and then the VWAP are next. I think I'd also wait for this one to open in the regular session because I'm not sure exactly how great this one's going to be, given that it had a lot of the price action, all the movement in the after hours and the morning today.
Okay. So. Yeah, I don't trust this stock. I've tried to trade it before. I've never been good with it. Did you have anything on BW?
If this is going to see a full resolution of that, I guess assumed Head and Shoulders, then we're probably looking at a full resolution taking us down to the 500-day SMA.
Okay. 500-day SMA. Let me see if I have that.
Oh, sorry. The value is 540.
540. Okay, there you go. And you can actually see this pretty clearly on the chart. Okay, good stuff there. I think that pretty much does it from the movers. If there's another one that you want to take a look at, folks, lay it out in the chat there. We can go through that. I do have a question here for Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie, we don't ask you questions like this, but we'll give it a shot and see what you have for us. Do you think SPY will hit 776 today and pull back to 774? I know
so
it's a specific one.
That's pretty likely because we expect sideways motion today. So why do we expect sideways motion? Chances are we're waiting on the CPI. Here's the thing about, this person might be asking this because they're thinking to themselves, hey, why don't I position an iron condor, but I leg into it? When it gets to the very top, I'll sell the call spread. When it gets to the very bottom, I'll sell the put spread, and then I'll let it expire. And so that's pretty risky in these kinds of environments, but that's not unreasonable for me taking a look at SPY, and I'll pull it up here.
Oh, let me put your screen on here instead. Sorry about that.
A couple of really big movers. I'd like to hear what you guys might have to say.
Yeah, let's do it.
On, and then SE, which is a Tim Melvin pick. But here's what we're looking at with SPY. We're in a very heavy congestion event that is about 5 days wide if you count this candlestick of the 4th that moved into that zone. On top of that, the traders are really moving in around 771. They're trying to buy it. They come in and test it. Sometimes they win. If they fail, they go down to 768, 767. If they pass, they go up to 776. So saying, hey, will it go up to 774 and then come back down to 770, whatever the thought was that that person had, the answer is quite possibly. The question is, how are you going to work that? Let's say you know it to be true, but you don't know when. How do you mechanize that flow? What do you use as the space where you go, oh, I'm just going to go ahead and buy it? Because I can tell you, as a person who has sold iron condors intraday, you can get really zambonied if you are doing that, right? I mean, you can really get hurt. And so, yeah, it could, but your thought might be better suited if you go, okay, if I have the range, let me wait for the direction of trend, pull into that support, watch it begin to hold on a very tight time frame, and then move in would be my recommendation. You know, I have such a hard time answering questions quickly.
No, that's good though. That's good, and that gives us a plan there. ON, by the way, this is the shoemaker, right?
Yeah.
They got smoked on earnings.
They did.
They had mixed earnings, and then the guide was beneath the midpoint.
Gotcha.
And that guide has been the death blow for us. Yeah. So ON, first move here is lower. Stock is down by 21%. The new pair of On shoes that I bought the other day didn't help it would seem. So look.
One of the movers is halted to the upside. That's WXM.
Archer is also popping a little bit here. SPY's first move here was down to 774. Acorns, you were just asking Anne-Marie, what is the chance we go to 776, then back down to 774? Yeah, reverse that. We went to 774 first here.
We also have PLAG, that's kind of sideways. FRTT, that's trying to recapture VWAP. I think I mentioned WAFU, that's trying to get over VWAP and its 65 EMA. Could use some more volume. And Fermi trying to break into the 730 area. We popped up there, haven't been able to hold it yet.
Hey. All right. Anne-Marie, got your opening print there. Any thoughts from the opening print here? SPY, S&P futures basically to VWAP off the open.
Yeah, and we are at the top of the range that we've been seeing over the last few days, right? So if we take a look at my trading vehicles of choice, which is the ES, and we take a peek at what this chart's really been doing over the last couple of days, we can see that we're trying to frame out a new formation sitting up in that edge, and they're compressing. So we know there's a wait state. The VWAP is essentially flat. If you take a look at the VWAP from 3 days ago to where it is today, it's a little bit higher, but not by much. And so that gives us sideways pressure, right? And when we have sideways pressure, we're going to get to the top and sell to the bottom, and then the buyers are going to try and come in again. So where would I be looking for a buy? This little area right here is the first 1 minute motion of yesterday. Look at how much of the time frame we spent yesterday within that 1 minute frame. Mm-hmm. I am so impressed that your bot made money yesterday, because that's tough in this kind of space. So we're going to look at the same thing. We're going to look at that 1 minute, see if it holds, but the pullbacks into those deeper support areas, into that 100 simple moving average, 77.68, 77.69, somewhere around there, the buyers are very likely to come in and push forward. All right. I'll see you in an hour.
Yeah, I was going to say, Anne-Marie, we'll see you back here for some option trades in about an hour. Really good breakdown. Appreciate you.
Take care.
Folks, that is Anne-Marie. Stay tuned. She will be back soon, and we'll get some option trades from her. In the meantime, 13, let's hit some of these movers here. Kathy's mentioning that KOPN up 15%. Yeah. Giddy up. We reported earnings here this morning.
We also had Alcoa getting mentioned. That's the aluminum, they specialize in aluminum smelting and production. They are trading higher because Century Aluminum, a peer company, reported their Q2 financial results. So it looks like it's a relationship trade here on the back of another company's good earnings.
Okay. All right. Let's see what else we have here. SPY continues to move down 773.5. I've got no edge here. So index gate saying no edge. Q's in the chop, SPY and chop. IWM looking actually good though. Bull trend and a little bit of an edge there in IWM. So indeed, it looks like we have a little bit of a bullish trend here in the pre-market. We'll see if that turns around. Let's see. Someone else mentioned MREO. This is kind of a crummy penny stock that was trading higher here today on some news. That's come back in as well. FRTT, Fort Technology. This really hasn't done much of anything.
No.
Archer, this reported earnings last night, I believe. Or was it yesterday morning? No, it was last night. I beg your pardon. It was, in fact, last night. Got an $11 price target here from Cantor this morning.
There is just some number of sellers at 775 in the SPY, just keeping that thing down. But this is only the second time we've actually opened, at this, up here at this level around 775. The only other time was when we made the all-time highs on August 5th. We have not opened above, up at that level since then. So it's really looking interesting. 775 here in SPY. If we can hold above this these levels from the past few days, maybe there's a possibility we push into 775. But that looks like the big resistance area right now because we've got 2 days where it's just been rejected there.
Okay. All right. And 772 might be our support here. We're currently at 773. The SPY has been straight down from the open on both the SPY and the S&P futures. The Qs look the same, by the way. So NASDAQ doing the same dance here. Lower we go out of the open. We'll see where we get some support here.
WXM unhalted. It dropped down a little bit. Now it's trying to push higher back up to that trend line that we drew. Still running into sellers, but it's trying to make its way up into the toward the 13 handle.
Yep, WXM. This is moving here. You guys are also talking about Plug. Let's take a look here at Plug. I know we talked about that a little bit in the A block, but haven't talked about it since then. Plug Power shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q2 financial results. Looks like we went to 250 and got slammed here, although it is trying to find some support at that 65 EMA. That value 238.
Look at the daily on that one. You kind of have the 50 and the 200-day SMAs right in the same area, and that's where the price ran up to out of the gate. It looks to me like we're about to get a gap fill.
You know what's interesting about that is that we also have the 265 EMA at that spot on the daily. I've got it at 251, pretty much right in there. That 250 spot's going to be key.
Yes, that's the key resistance we got to get over here.
Yeah.
I would like to see this fill all the way down to 225 and then turn around and go. That would be, I think, the best case scenario for Plug Power, because if we continue to trade underneath the 200, we're getting a death cross.
Okie dokie. FRTT getting mentioned here by Webcoin. Webcoin, good morning. It's great to see you. Is mentioning that it has good volume. Doesn't look all that great. Action doesn't look all that great either, but we'll see if FRTT can turn around here at all. SMCI looks like this is trying to challenge the pre-market highs here. Oh, 10X, by the way, this is one that fell like 90% yesterday. It's up 13% here today. I'm going to avoid this completely, but we mentioned this yesterday, and here we go. So it looks like it's getting a little bit of a bounce here today. Archer, that is above its pre-market highs. This actually might be flirting with yesterday's intraday highs. 687 and 7 would be your next levels.
200-day SMA, Archer.
What is the value?
682. It ran into it yesterday and was rejected. We got a neutral candle. Here we are today trying to get through it. I also have 690 marked off as a resistance level.
Okie dokie. FRTT 9,000% spike in volume. Good golly. No wonder the volume was looking impressive. 9,000%. By the way, SpaceX, sorry, 13, just one sec. SpaceX here, totally reversed. This actually looked like this was going to go higher. Now we're sinking here. We'll watch 130 on the downside here. SPCX. Sorry, 13, get in there.
No, I was just asking about, where that volume was from in Fork Technology. Was that in the morning when we had that big move up, or are you talking about after we've opened? Because I see like maybe 3 million shares we've traded out of the gate, but that kind of
I think it's incorporating the pre-market volume, and then it's looking at the day volume here, and I think that's where they're getting the 9,000% number. That's what it looks like to me, anyway.
PLAG trying to get through this 118, 117 area. That's been kind of keeping the price suppressed this morning. So if we get some more volume expansion, we could get through this. It looks like 135 might be the next resistance area if we do push up through this 118 area.
Yeah, you're right there on Plag. I've got VWAP at 116. That looks to be the area it's battling right now.
You said you were looking at SpaceX. All right, so now we're back beneath the IPO price. It kind of just gave back that whole move at the end of the day there.
Yep.
And it's interesting because we're coming down to that. Okay, so if you look at the price action from yesterday when we fell down underneath 133, we spent a good portion of the day there, and every time we came up to 133 to test for a breakout, we were rejected up until 320, and we just took off. Guess where the price came down to? Just now to find support.
That same area
that broke out.
Unbelievable, dude.
So I'm not saying that this is now going to turn around and just rip and roar, but that is what it looks like the current support is for now. That 133 and change area.
Okay. All right. That good spot there on SpaceX. I didn't even realize that was the case. You talked about that yesterday in happy hour too. Gary here mentioning Meta's looking good here. Good signals. So here's Meta. This was after yesterday. This spiked in the pre-market, round tripped completely, tried to make a run, but sold that back too. And now today here, looks like we're about to test 600 to the upside. Let me ask you, Gary, 600 snap, do we maybe test 608 again? What's the thought here on Meta, those good signals that you were referring to? Wow, Copen up 21.8%. This thing's screaming towards the highs. We got to get Michael Murray back on here and see how things are going over there. I'm really curious about the story, reshoring a lot of these micro LEDs for some of our war fighters here. Really, really interested in this story. Good earnings here. Nice move for Copen, KOPN.
For Meta, I think I just would keep an eye on that 50-day SMA. That has been the suppressant of all upside since July, like the end of July, when we lost that level.
Okay. There you go on Meta. And by the way, SPY and Qs are bouncing here. So it looks like we're coming back towards the VWAP. We'll see if we get a test and a recapture of that. S&P futures are basically at the VWAP right now. Here's what the SPY chart looks like. We came right into 773, and now we've turned around a little bit. Gary here regarding that Meta trade. I want the 605 calls if we can get back in its upper VWAP band, but so far it is failing. Okay, Gary, I appreciate the trade plan there on Meta. Palantir higher again, 177.50.
Oh yeah, how's that looking?
Palo Alto sold off a little bit here, down 1.75%. We talked about cybersecurity kind of being a theme with some of these AI models fighting each other.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Palantir to come back in. It's very much repeating what it did last year following their earnings in August. It had a gap up. It ran for a while up to 190, and then it just sank big time down to I think it took like a 25% haircut. It just sank right down to 142. After it rolled over. So kind of anticipating that we'll see something very similar because it's extended right now. It's got a 74 RSI. I think this does need to cool off. And it could very much be similar to what happened last year in August.
Yeah, I like that 189 to 190 area that you talked about. We actually have that marked off on the chart here. So we'll see what we end up getting there. Palantir. All right, really quick, just from the chat, just looking at the chat here. Thoughts on BSP bending spoons? It's an interesting business model. I'm not familiar with what this is or its business model. Earnings in 2 days on this name, by the way. What is this, Kev? It's a SPA that acquires and operates digital businesses focusing on business transformation and operational optimization. Acquiring companies, implementing operational improvements, and reinventing in additional acquisitions. It owns Eventbrite. It owns AOL. StreamYard, Vimeo. Okay. So I don't know much about the business model, Kath. They acquire the company with a long-term vision. I do recognize some of these, like StreamYard and Vimeo. I mean, we've used StreamYard here a lot on this show alone. We use Vimeo, or we used to, all the time. I don't know much about this stock itself. I'd want to see what the earnings are. What does the chart look like on this? Boy, this has made a nice move here, Kath. This is probably extended too.
Bending spoons.
It's a little bit like Constellation Software. Yeah, that's what it's called. Matrix reference in this.
I was just thinking that. So does that mean that they have a business relationship with Oracle?
That's well done. And Kathy, I would challenge you. Is it the spoon that bends, or is it your mind? I'm sorry. I wish I had more thoughts on the stock itself. Looks extended to me off this recent move, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I'm just looking at these movers and kind of wondering if there's going to be anything out of these. WXM, it popped into a halt, and then it dropped into a halt. PLAG is just kind of back and forth right now. Same with FRTT. LAFU is, I have no idea what this is. It's an education group. Okay.
Yeah, Chinese education group, not to be trusted.
No, that has not been working well for them out there. These stocks, the education stocks. But it looks like it's trying to get some support from the 160 level. We'll see. Meanwhile, we had some leaking in Fermi. This thing came down. So we do have some support level around 670 if we end up getting down there. It's looking like it's trying to turn around here, but it is beneath VWAP and the 65 EMA. So this probably needs some more time if we're going to see a recapture of that VWAP. It's not going to happen at just this moment, but maybe later.
Maybe you get your turnaround here. By the way, SPY rolled over when it tested VWAP, retested 773, broke through it, but it's trying to recapture it. We'll see if that gives us a trend change here. Good stuff there on Fermi. Real quick here, Buffalo by Bicycle. Bee stings are killing my summer. Bro, I am sorry. I am allergic to bee stings. They suck. I'm sorry you're going through that. I'm a swollen mess. Well, hey, at least you're not in the ER with a tube down your throat, because it could get worse, trust me. And then Shant asking, what's going on with Clover Health today? That's, of course, going to be CLOV. We had a spammer in the chat yesterday saying that this was going to be an absolute monster. It appears that the pump effort ran out of gas, Shant. That's what happened here on Clover, down 4.3%.
Yeah, it looks like this is maybe wrapping up a gap fill. The gap was created from August 5th to 6th. There's a long-term trend line that I've got here that we are also testing. I don't remember what the news that I saw on this was, but it might be great. But just looking at the history of the chart, I'm not sure it's going to be able to hold this level here today. Maybe I'll be wrong about that when a gap fills. The gap fill should be at about around 425. So we'll see what happens there. I have no position or interest in trading this, though.
Me either. The other thing about Clove, we see this from time to time. This has a FinTwit following. Okay. That often gets talked about.
We're starting to see some movement here in these movers. Silly, but
which one?
Well, a lot of them, most of them, the ones that we took a look at here, WXM, that's trying to recapture its VWAP. It just had a rejection there. Fermi's back over 7. PLAG is holding its VWAP. FRTT is trying to push higher into the regular session. We're at the session highs at the moment. And then looks like LAFU is also trying to turn around here, but that needs a lot more volume.
And then Aslaf asking about Velo earnings, which are scheduled for tonight. So Velo reports after the market closes today. We've actually had a pretty nice move in this thing recently off of some of the lows. I don't really have expectations for this. I have more of kind of a long-term view than will they really need to execute on this earnings report. I'm also kind of slowly walking into this position. I think my last ad was in a 10 handle. So the fact that it's popped up here means that I'm going to be waiting this out a little bit more. I'm interested in the earnings report. I want to see what kind of numbers that they produce and what they say about going forward. Ultimately, I love this being connected to SpaceX and Anduril. This to me is the 3D printing winner. But again, I don't have any specific expectations for today's print.
I would, okay, so they are going to report a negative EPS. They are a growth company that are still expanding. So if that's not something that you want to hang on to, because I do expect them to report an EPS loss as they are, still growing. So I could see this maybe coming into the 20-day SMA and fill that gap. That would be my downside expectation scenario. To my upside expectation scenario is that we hold this level, this 200-day SMA, and we push up to the 50. I don't like Ryan. I don't have major expectations for earnings. I think a lot of what we were waiting for for the trade had already happened when we got up to 30. So I'm kind of just looking at this now as a company that's well positioned for some major growth in the space and aerospace industry. And it's going to take a long-term time horizon. I don't have expectations for earnings. It could come down. It could go up. It's just going to be another day in part of my long-term plan for this. So I may trim a little bit into earnings, and if it comes down, fine. I'll pick some more up at a cheaper price.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way there. For a split second, I thought you were going to start singing Phil Collins' Another Day in Paradise, and I was going to start jamming, but we ended up going a different way there. Aslaf, let me know if that was helpful there on Velo. Sorry, we're not necessarily trading it for just this print.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, I don't know if it necessarily jives. We both kind of have a long-term view on this.
Yeah.
All right, we'll keep rolling through some of the movers here. Plug, this is one of our movers. It is moving. That 250 rejection, boy, oh boy, that thing Mutombo right back down to the lows. I also noticed that Chime Financial is this is actually trading up on some pretty decent volume here.
FRTT is printing some higher regular session numbers. Still not out of this consolidation from the pre-market though.
That's FRTT, right?
Yep, that's right. WXM still having trouble with VWAP. The latest rejection sent it into a downside halt. Out of this halt, I could see this maybe coming down to near the 65 EMA for support. That seems to be where a lot of demand is. Right at 9 for the time being.
We're saying round 2 is coming here.
Round 2 of what?
FRTT making a move here. Sorry.
It's just kind of might just be another sleepy day for the market.
Yeah, we'll see. Bot's done nothing, which actually tells me that the recent coding changes I've made to it are spot on, because I don't see anything here setting up for bullish upside trades yet. And in fact, that S&P, we talked a little bit about the S&P maybe trying to recapture its VWAP. No, lower we go. Still waiting to see if we hold 772 here.
I hate to even bring this up, but if somebody's looking for something that's putting in some decent price action, there's this junky name, WYHG. It had a massive move yesterday. It had a massive move last week too. This thing will run up and it'll run right down. So just understand that if you're looking to trade something, that you could get caught on the wrong side of this, but it is putting in some moves here, and it's looking like you could get a better trade out of this than some of these other slower names that we were looking at. So just wanted to put that out there. Trade it at your own risk. It's very dangerous, but it is moving.
Yeah, and it actually looks like it's got decent volume here today. Speaking of another one that's really, really risky here, Market Sniper mentioning this one, 10X. So we talked about this one when it was up 15%. Looks like it's up 19% now. I would agree with Market Sniper here. This is nothing more than a dead cat bounce. So if this is something that you're going to trade because the market looks a little bit sleepy here today, you just got to be nimble on this. Got to be very, very careful on this one. I'm going to avoid this personally, but Market Sniper has a good mention here. This is now 5% higher than it was the last time we took a look at that after the 90+% drop yesterday. Kathy mentioning PLAG. That has finally moved through the VWAP of 116. Looks like maybe we're going to try 120, 122-ish here and move higher. We'll see.
We did hit 124 in this current candle.
Okay.
Volume really hasn't, changed too much. It's been about the same. So I think we still need to see some more than what we've been getting in this regular session. That's about 4 million, 4.5 million. The volume kind of just has been fading a bit. So I think we need to get, we need to see 5 million shares traded every 5 minutes if we're going to get above some of these previous levels in the pre-market, like 135. I still think volume needs to be better if we're going to go that high.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look. So SpaceX, that sold off to 134 and held there. Tesla's not really doing much of anything, only up 0.2. Palantir, that kind of slowed down. Oh, gosh, it does seem a little sleepy out there. I'll be honest with you. It does not seem like there's a lot going on.
I just rubbed my eye.
Let's take a look at SanDisk, which JR was talking about earlier. He was right, too. This thing normally makes like $80 moves. This has already made a 40-point move here today. I don't necessarily see an edge here on SanDisk, though.
I'm surprised we're not getting any requests for Riot because they had some interesting news.
Yeah, I went over that in the A block. That was actually my lead story. No, but we should talk about it. They reported earnings and they had some news here. A company secured a 20-year deal to apply 191 megawatts of computing to Anthropic. So the Anthropic deal plus earnings, Riot's bled back some of its gains here, 13. We also have a trend line that connects these highs. That would be our target to break above.
Yeah, it's interesting. Now, I think that when you're a company that has significant amount of compute, as long as you mention Anthropic or OpenAI, you're going to see your stock price take off. That seems to be what the theme is.
Yeah, well, you're right about that. This is still higher by 8.5%.
Oh, we have Bill. I'm sorry, no, Scott mentioning ABCL. This is from yesterday. It's still going.
Okay.
So it is up a little bit, 3.5%. Let's look at the daily chart here. So what's nice is that it didn't give back everything that it made, but it also didn't hit our trend line. And it is still very extended. I guess this still isn't for me because seeing this, the history of this, and every time we had these big run-ups, it's met with sideways price action or selling off. And I guess we just haven't got that sell-off or we might be getting the sideways price action. But I don't think I'm a buyer up here. I think you were much better off picking this up last week. But up here, I feel like there's much more of a risk for downside. So it's great that it still could provide a trade for you. Looks like $10 is still a big resistance level.
I was just going to say.
So, that's about all I've got here with ABCL. I'm not a buyer up here, but you could certainly trade this as long as you're not going to hold it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Scott, I would agree with you here. Watch $10 on ABCL. It had trouble with it yesterday. That is literally right here. It could not get above it. That spot looks like it's coming back into play here today.
All right. So some of these other movers looking like they're having trouble. WXM down at 65 EMA, getting some support. PLAG losing its VWAP. That's coming to the lower end of support in the regular session. FRTT still needs more volume. Yeah, I mean, get your pillow, folks. It's time to lie down.
It's time to lie down. Well, let's take a look here at the SPY real quick, because here we are making another attempt to get back above VWAP. We'll see if the same thing happens here. Do we get rejected? Do we actually change this around a little bit? We'll see.
Yeah, and
what the Twitter streets have. Go ahead.
This is why I put these previous all-time high levels. The previous all-time high that I've got is before the all-time high is 773.41. That's kind of the price that we're running up to right now. It's been a very, very important level of with the price action since Friday. It was resistance Monday. Yesterday it was support and resistance all throughout the day, and then this morning it was support, and then we opened, and now it's resistance. So if you want to put that level off for yourself, it's 773.41. That was the previous all-time high from. Go back to the daily chart.
Boy, we are right there. That 41.
Yeah, that was the previous all-time high from August 4th.
Albert saying, "Someone come rescue Ben from the sell-off." Ha ha. Look, we tried. 13 and I tried to rescue the humans from the bin sell-off a number of times. Our efforts were not taken advantage of, let's say. Bind, this thing's garbage, guys. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you get a good trade on it. The food's garbage, the stock's garbage. Everything about this is garbage.
As was pointed out earlier, they do have a 1-for-30 reverse split that was announced. So maybe we do get that 30 print now.
Oh, that's good stuff.
That's the way they'd have to do it. But yeah, I don't recommend anybody. I don't even make recommendations, but I don't think anybody should ever be touching this.
Yeah.
Food or the stock.
Yep. I'm with you on that. Okay, SPY through VWAP. So now we're through the VWAP. Let's see if we end up getting anything here.
EKS,
bot no chill. Bot took a trade here on 3M. All right. Wish me luck, folks.
To answer your question, EKS, about Tractor Supply, I'm not familiar with their take on identity politics or whatever the situation is, whatever that was, doing the same thing that Target was. I don't know, but when I looked at the chart, it looked like a very attractive price to me. So, and it had a lot of sideways price action. I thought this thing's probably bottoming, so I picked some up, and now here we are. Much higher than we were in this consolidation. 35.60 is the price. It's looking like this is still coming up, but we are approaching some resistance. I would say somewhere between 36.50 and 37. 36.50 and 37 is probably going to be the next big area of resistance we're coming up to. And that would be fine too, because look at the RSI. We're getting extended now as well. So if it does get up to that range I just said and find resistance, I think this would be a great spot for this to start to cool off and come back in and get ready for the next move up. So I think this is all great with Tractor Supply Company.
Okay. All right, good stuff there. TSCO is your ticker on Tractor Supply. Jacob, it's great to see you this morning. Jacob mentioning STIM here. That's STIM. This is actually higher on good volume. They had earnings this morning. Conference calls done. Neuronetics shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q2 financial results. Stock's moving pretty nice here on some pretty good volume. Let's see what the chart looks like. We actually just took out a resistance area, and actually I almost want to call this a range. We're kind of at the midpoint of this resistance area in here. I would say 350 is going to be your key spot, Jacob. Let me know what you think on that. STIM 350 looks to be the spot to me.
It's about time we had a healthcare, medical company with the ticker STIM. I think it was long overdue.
As a Tarkov player, I can get down with that. STIMs are important.
Exactly. This one, you pointed out the short interest with this, right?
I actually didn't. I hadn't even looked at that. Here's a quick peek at the short interest tab. Yeah, it's high. 27.29% of the float shorted, 7.75 days to cover.
I think the combination of earnings and the short interest is giving us an extra lift here.
Okay. Possible squeeze potential here, Jacob. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And if that's the case, look for those big resistance areas, because I'm sure the shorts are hanging out there.
Okay.
Maybe $4 could be the next one. There might be one before that, but $4 looks like the next big spot. This chart doesn't actually look that bad. We're getting a golden cross here on the daily. There's a lot to like about this chart, but I don't know enough about the company to really give you my full-fledged opinion on this.
I do see some Tesla calls, and I see some Fermi calls, 750s, by the way.
All right, let's go. I really do like this STIM chart because I just drew a trend line. It's pretty interesting. I used the high from March last year through the high of August last year. And if you keep that going, that takes us to where we about where we just broke out. So there's a lot to like about this stim chart. But like I said, I don't know enough about this company to really give you my full opinion on it. It just looks like $4 might be the next big resistance area.
And here's that trend line added.
Yeah.
I think I got it pretty good here, actually.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
There you go.
Hey, Daniel, you know what? That's great, actually. If nothing's working and you don't like the way this is looking as far as the market goes, yeah, sit on your hands. Go do something else. There's no. This is probably one of the greatest things you could do. Is just not waste your time. So
Yeah,
if nothing's setting up, just go do something else.
Yeah, don't force trades in this.
No.
To 13's point, go do something else. Don't force a trade. That's not going to be helpful at all. That's gonna give you sad face.
That's great discipline. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, we were getting asked about KPLT. Let me see what this is about.
And you're right. Go so really quickly, Gary. So we talked about this, right? We talked about if this thing takes 600, it probably goes to 608. Look what just happened. It did exactly that. It did exactly that. So it went right to that target that we discussed. Odie asking about Fermi. So when I'm mentioning that in this workspace here, in the bottom left corner, I have a unusual option calendar here. This is going to show me all of like the option flow. I actually have this filtered to only show me contract sizes of 100 or more as part of the flow. I'm not really interested if someone's buying 20 or 30 contracts like us retail folk. And you can see here today on Fermi, we had multiple call sweeps. 750 was the predominant one. 811 the first time, 487 the second, 487 the third, and then we also had a call sweep down there at 7 and 550. So this is what I'm looking at here. I'm basically just trying to get an idea of where option flow is. And to this, for Fermi, given the news, all of the upside here today.
Yeah, I think yes. I was just kind of looking into what KPLT was. So there's supposed to be a deal that's closing this month. So that could be, that could lead to potentially more upside. Maybe, I'm not sure. I don't know enough about this company. Let me look at this daily chart here. I'm not getting anything on my chart for some. Oh wait, here we are. It's over here. Wow, another one that you had a lot of sideways consolidation for what seems like since last year.
Yeah.
So if you were picking this up in that consolidation, you're a happy camper. Breaking out of the 200-day SMA that was clearly suppressing the price since all summer. If we can continue to hold above that, let me look at one thing here. If we can continue to hold above that of that 200-day SMA, I think next we're going to be taking on the 500-day SMA, but I don't know that that's going to happen right away. We're getting a little extended here. We haven't crossed into overbought yet, and we don't want to. But I think if we can continue to hold that 200-day SMA, like let's say we hold 750, I think that would kind of be the area I also want to see hold up and go sideways and let the RSI cool off. I think if we get that deal to close, we could see the other side of the 500-day SMA. At least that's the scenario that I would anticipate here for the moment. But do have to hold that 200-day SMA.
Yeah, and right now it's actually holding pretty well near the highs. We'll see if they can get back above 850 there. Good stuff on KPLT. Let's see what else do we have here. Market Sniper mentioning that there's VWAP rejection on WXM. That was one of our movers here today.
Yep.
And indeed, that's not doing a whole lot of anything.
Well, I mean, because the VWAP was the support in a good majority of the pre-market. And then we opened, we lost that VWAP, and that has now become resistance. So until we get on the other side of VWAP, I would expect this to probably trade poorly. Maybe in this range between the 65 EMA and VWAP until one of those two levels starts to snap. But that's where we're at right now with WXM.
Okay. All right. Real quick, got a request here for you, 13.
Meta.
How about some levels on Meta? That's going to be ticker META. I'll put that on the big chart here. Here's what Meta looks like. Joe is saying here, it looks like it might be going to that 200 here on pretty short order. 200, I've got at 731. We also have a trend line target here that's going to be about 681. See if we can get to either of those. I'm going to step away for just 1 sec here, 13, but tell me what you think about the meta chart.
I think that it looks to me like 635 is a pretty standout level. And I'm looking at it's you do have a couple of moving averages there, like the 200 and the 500. But I'm looking at the price action around that particular area where those moving averages are, and I'm looking to the left. You can see that at this, it may not be exactly 635, but there is clearly some support and resistance that has kicked in at this level going back to 2024. If you look at December of 2024, that 635, and I don't know if it's exactly 635, but that area might even be 640. That area right there was resistance. Up until we crossed into 2025, January, we broke out of that resistance area and we took off into new all-time highs. Then when we came back down, look at where we got support before we lost it. And then after we did lose it, there was these couple of attempts trying to recapture that or get back up towards that 640, 635 area. Both were rejected. And this is the two peaks in March and of 2025. That sent us lower. Look at what happened when we cut back up here. We popped up once, came back in, sideways consolidation right in that 635 area. And you could go back to this year. Look at all the price action above and below 635. I think this is an important level that we're coming up to based on all this history we have of that 635 to 640 area. So I think that you could be correct, Joe, that this is looking like it wants to take on that 635 to 640 area again, which is incidentally has the 200 and 500 day SMAs right there as well. So I think that could be, I think that might be actually the case here. Now, I don't know if we're going to get on the other side of it, but I can guarantee you that there's going to be some price action as we approach that 635 to 640 area. I think there's going to be some sellers trying to step in, maybe, take an exit or try to push the price back down. Maybe there's short sellers that are looking to get in there. I don't know, but nothing stands out more to me than that particular area right there that has acted as support and resistance going back to 2024.
All right, there you go. Good breakdown there on Meta. Riot here, maybe this is curling. I just saw Intel on the scanner earlier. That looks like maybe this is trading back up. Remember, we got some news here from Hassett that said only Trump is going to decide when they're going to sell this position. Does sound like at some point they sell it. Market Sniper mentioning that STIM is still holding the 9 EMA. That's ticker STIM. Here's what that is doing. Indeed, I've got that 9 EMA at 315. We're holding above it. Nasty reversal on FRIT. That's FRTT.
And when was it that?
And we couldn't get the VWAP. That's the key. Couldn't get the VWAP. Went back down to low. What was that, 13?
What was the, do you remember when NVIDIA bought Intel? I have the purchase price. It was $23.28. I was just looking to see if they had sold any, and I was just trying to get an idea.
I don't think so. In other words, I'm sorry, let me answer your question directly. I do not think that NVIDIA sold any of that, or at least not that I can recall.
Okay, so no, they have not.
They have not. Yeah, that tracks.
And tomorrow we might find out if that is still the case, because we get our 13Fs. Which is great, right, too, because we have Tim coming on. He's going to probably talk a lot about this.
Yeah, and actually a little bit of a preview here. So Tuesday nights, I occasionally do a webinar with Tim. We don't have one tonight, but next Tuesday, so a week from tonight, Tim and I are going to be covering 13Fs in our nighttime webinar. So I don't know what we're going to say yet for that or what we're looking at. Obviously, the 13Fs haven't come out, but Tim generally has a pretty good edge in that. So we'll see what we end up doing there.
You need to register a ring for GP Gary. He's got a win out of Meta.
Out of Meta, nice win. You will get a register ring. Look, I don't have any register rings for myself, so if anyone else has got them, let's wear that button out here. I am still in the 3M trade, by the way, per the bot, down very slightly on it. Not really a huge deal. And the SPY is still holding above its VWAP, so we did punch above the VWAP. We've kind of wicked down to it. Let me, instead of just trying to draw it in air, why don't I just show you the damn chart? That'll be a lot better. Here's what the SPY looks like. So we got back above that VWAP We've kind of wicked down to it, but we're holding above it here. See if we're going to need some type of push to maybe take us higher here. Otherwise, we might break down through the VWAP again. This is all I got here on spot. Pip is asking, Ryan, is your night webinar free to watch? Where do I get the link? So yes, it is. It is absolutely free to watch. I don't think I have the link for that yet. I'd be happy to share it here if you over the next couple of sessions when I have that. Let me take a look and see if I have that here.
Also, PLAG, one of the movers that's halted the upside. We've got a recapture of the VWAP, and it started to move. It's looking like it's getting a little bit more of an increase in volume versus the past 10 minutes. So it's coming up to a resistance area. We'll see what happens out of the halt. I don't really want to draw an upside trend line just yet because I'm not sure what we're going to get, but we'll see what happens out of the halt here.
All right, real quickly here, who was asking? Pip, you were asking about that. Here's the link that I have today. Please understand the description for this webinar is not current because we haven't come up with content yet for it, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be the registration for that. Regardless, even if I just gave you the wrong link, when we finalize that, I will share that link here for anyone that's interested in joining that webinar. So don't worry about that. We'll make sure you get that.
Take care, Marcus. Have a good one.
Take care of yourself, Marcus. Good to see you as always. Marcus, let me just ask you really quick, your professional opinion as a Chiefs fan, what is their record going to be this year?
Matt is saying, keep an eye on pot, maybe catching a buzz. CGC up 6%.
I see what he did. I see what he did.
Do you recall what that stock was that we looked at yesterday in happy hour? Or was it? Yes, it might not have been yesterday, but there was a name that we had looked at that had a lot of weed operations in Canada, and they had some other agricultural, like growing vegetables and whatnot in Texas and another part of the world. I can't remember the name of it. They had good earnings and they were profitable. And I was just thinking maybe there's a relationship trade there. What was the name of that?
I'm surprised it's not in your notes. I do remember us discussing this, but I cannot remember what the name of that company was. Oh, VFF. Yes. I think that is it. JD, dude. Let's go. I think it was actually VFF, Village Farms.
Yes. Yes. Look at that. Because that was yesterday. Look at the pop there.
Let's go, JD.
Yep. So this is the one that I was Netherlands. That was the other one. So this is the one I was referring to, and I was maybe saying there might be a relationship trade here. So if the pot stocks are up, I think it's on the back of Village Farms. That's my, I'll just call it an assumption.
Okay. Yeah, I have some CGC. I'm still underwater. My average price on CGC is 135, by the way. I mean, if that thing made like a move to 2, I'd probably just take it. I just don't know when any of those pot names are really going to make good trades. I'm just kind of sitting on a little bit here.
Let's see. We should be. How much time do we have left on PLAG's halt? It shouldn't be halted.
PLAG's halt was halted at 10:12:41. It should be unhalting here in the next 30 seconds if it's a 5-minute. Let me put that on screen just so we can be ready for it. Retro says, Ryan, speaking of football, I gave kicker Jay Feely a couple of rides yesterday. He's running for Congress in Arizona. Nice guy with lots of stories. I've heard, actually, one of my buddies ran into Jay Feely. Apparently, he's a super nice guy in real life. Awesome that you were able to drive him around. He was a good kicker, too, back in the day.
And PLAG is open and higher.
There it is. PLAG looks like what was the high print there? 130 what? 6?
Yeah, and now it's taking all that back. Maybe it comes down to, it's going to halt. I was going to say maybe it comes down to VWAP and find support there, but it is in going into a downside halt now.
My bot just tried a 0 DTE scalp and got murdered on it.
WAFU popped up as soon as we got into a halt with the PLAG.
WAFU, that was?
Yeah.
Okay, so bot got hit there on the 0 DTE scalp. It was out pretty quick, just didn't work. Still in the MM trade, which is green. So it looks like the market not ready to bounce to the upside yet. Here's what the cues looked like. So it looked like it was trying to get rolling there and then immediately came back into the VWAP. We'll see what the bot does with that. John mentioning Meta get stop out. Gary was just ringing the register on that. Meta get stop out. John, man, I'm not sure what you mean here. Meta continues to rip to the upside. This went past our 608 target, by the way. Tesla, a lot of call sweeps. Actually, Tesla, this just popped to the high here too. Let me. There was no news on Tesla, was there? Nope. Nope, not that I see on the Twitter streets. We'll check the news feed, but I'm pretty sure this is clean. Yep. Interesting. Tesla popped there with some option activity to follow it. Interesting.
And what time did it start to pop?
Looks like just recently. This reversed here, started at about 9:55. But what I'm talking about is the recent pop, because it traded up to the highs here and then popped again 10:15 mark.
Wonder if it has.
And it's getting sold. I don't see any news accompanying this move.
Yeah, I was just looking at some of the most recent headlines here, and it's something about Amazon Zooks.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that was in Tesla. I was trying to figure it out. Can't figure it out. Marcus says 0-17 regarding the Chiefs. I'm a Raiders fan and I signed up for the webinar. Okay, hopefully you enjoy the webinar. I'll take the Chiefs going 0-17. Brian saying, what bot are you using? Brian, I wrote my own bot that trades 4 different strategies. I haven't placed a trade since last Tuesday. It's working so well.
And he hasn't been closing it manually either.
Day one, I was so excited that the trades were moving into the green. I was like, flatten this, and you ain't never gone broke taking a profit. Let's do this, this, and this. And then I had AI analyze it at the end. It's like, yeah, you'd have made more money if you stayed in. Several of the things would have hit targets. And I was like, okay, that's the note there. Stop interfering with Body McBotface.
Yeah, he's a peacock. Gotta let him fly. HTZ is ripping. Is it squeezing?
Let's take a look. That was our short squeeze potential.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is. And it's doing it on volume, too. This is what we really want. Next here is going to be this high up here, 270. Let's call it 275.
That was so... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I wanted to 70. I thought this was high. I just wanted to double check before I said it. This is in the 73%. And by the way, I checked with the team. We're going to get a new print from FINRA for short interest on Friday. So Friday morning, that should be live. We'll see if there's anything we can learn from the change in short interest on any of these names.
Recap notes from yesterday. Although the days to cover doesn't mean preferred short squeeze parameters, a short percent of float this size is hard to ignore.
Yeah.
Potential short squeeze candidate. That's all I said with efforts yesterday.
Yeah. That's spot on, though.
That
is what it is.
That is funny.
All right. So the market, we talked a little bit about the SPY. We talked about that getting back above VWAP, maybe moving sideways, maybe setting up for another move here. Yeah, I don't know. SPY is coming back into VWAP. Now, it is still above it. But boy, oh boy, we're going to need that move pretty soon. Bot just stopped out of the 3M trade. We're 0 for 2 today. So today, not great so far.
Billy, you're mentioning MSGY. I don't see. It looks like there's a share restructuring, a reclassification. At least that's the most recent news that I see. That's going to be that was on the feed here. Yeah.
And which one?
MSGY. The share consolidation and reclassification shall be reflected with the NASDAQ Capital Market and in the marketplace at the open of business on August 11th, whereupon Class A shares will continue trading under the symbol MSGY and under the new CUSIP number of G6007A118.
Okay.
So that's why it's doing what it's doing here today.
Mason Glory going for all its glory. See what happens here at 5.
the short squeeze in Hertz already happened a few days ago.
Yeah, it had a big run up, but I mean, this is what he's talking about. The move here from on Thursday of last week where it continued into the after hours. Alpha Trade, this is what you're referring to, right? Still think there could be more, though, especially if you take this out. Float percent that high, feel like that could absolutely be more.
I mean, I don't disagree. I would say that this is probably when it started and it's still ongoing. Three looks like we're headed to 3. That's where it looks like we're going. All right, GRI volume incoming.
You said GRI?
GRI.
Oh, that's Jay mentioning that volume is incoming into that name. Gotcha.
All right.
Oh yeah. Do we have news here, Jay? This looks like a spike on news. No, so this news was just from June. Maybe somebody knows about this orphan drug designation. Does this say when we were supposed to hear about that?
Yeah, maybe it's moving on some news that hasn't hit the headlines.
Yeah,
yet.
That's kind of what I'm wondering, if somebody knows something about the data before the rest of us. I don't know. I don't see anything in the PR. Yeah, I'm not sure what to make of this, actually.
Yeah, I don't see any. They already got the orphan drug designation, so I don't think that's news that's coming.
Let's see anything else crossing the wire here.
Yeah, I don't know if this is just getting, picked up because it's a low float.
And I'm surprised I don't see some of the Fin Twitters talking about this name. That was my first thought right when he mentioned this and I pulled this up. I was like, this might be a Fin Twit name. I don't see anybody out there. And I would imagine and look at the volume. This is still going. Jay, this was a good spot. This was a good mention. I just don't know why.
Yeah.
And Market Sniper, I haven't talked to Smoke Tuna at all. I did talk to Crow. I would imagine they're off doing something. I haven't talked to Tuna though. I'm not necessarily sure. I did hear he was hanging out down the dial though.
This is GRI 0621. And maybe there's some kind of update on their drug in this current phase that they're at, because this is a 2A study. That would be my guess. I'd have to spend more time on this, and I'm not going to do it right now. But that's something that I would be looking into is that particular GRI 0621 drug. Maybe there's some more news coming with it. Yeah, there might also be some information in their earnings report about what this is we're seeing here today. I really don't know what the movement's on. There's might be some news that we're just not seeing, but
yeah,
that would be my first 2 spots I'd look.
All right, Bot just booked a trade on Cerberus, 215. We are back in the green. Let's go, Bot. Let's go, Bot. All right, 3 minutes till we move over to Anne-Marie. That reminds me, folks, if there are stocks that you want to get some option trade setups on, start thinking about those. We're going to bring on the option queen here in a sec. We'll go over what you folks want to go over.
Yeah. I think I'll just stop spending time on GRI.
Look, so you guys just got to, I didn't say anything because I kind of just let it happen, but you guys got to see what makes 13. Like you literally gave him a little bit of a nugget, and like the instinctual research that just permeates this man's body just went absolutely bananas. He started diving into that. He had to just take himself off that because we're running out of time here. 13, good stuff with the research there. My boy's wicked smart, as they said in Goodwill Hunting.
Did you ever see Starship Troopers, the original one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Remember their news feeds? Would you like to know more?
Yeah.
Yes, I would like to always know more.
The thirst for knowledge, unmatched by my man 13 here.
All right, let's see. Time to leave the desk. Hey, take care, Market Sniper. Stretch those legs.
Take care of yourself, Market Sniper. Take care of yourself.
Looks like WXM is halted the downside. It's losing the 65 EMA. This is probably going to not have a great rest of the morning, maybe even great rest of the day. So
yeah, that's not a good looking formation.
Meanwhile, PLAG trying to go higher.
Selena saying, Ryan, was that a buy on Cerberus on the higher end? Let's actually take a look at it real quick here. Here's where I stand, by the way, today, up a measly $67, but we're out of the red. 1 win, 2 losses. You can see it was the Cerberus trade that did it. Let's take a look here. Closed today. Here are the transactions today. So your entry on Cerberus was $229.05. It exited at $231.20 for $215. So it looks like that was, in fact, on that move back higher intraday here on Cerberus. Looks like it tried to take the top end of that out, came back in, touched the cloud, stopped out for a gain there at 215. 0 DTE scalp on the Qs. That was tough. That was 140 entry, immediately stopped out at 118. That pretty much put us in the red right from the beginning. And you had this small attempt here on Triple M. Boom, new trade just opened there. This is going to be on Service Now. Entry there, 127.79. It's looking for 129. We'll see what it ends up getting there. Service Now, new buy there.
GRI come right back in, looking for 2. Probably is just a bull trap. I didn't see any news. I was driving this, so no interest in that. But PLAG still trying to push higher. Lots of supply above it from here until 150. So we're going to need to see some bigger volume than that last candle that we got. And great mention there, just passing through when he said medic in the reference to the Starship Troopers movie. You cannot, the enemy cannot push the button if you disable his hand. Medic.
I love a good movie quote day. Those are some of my favorite. 13, any closing words for the group here? As we had kind of a boring Tuesday, but we made the most of it. Any closing words for the group?
Hey, we do get these boring days sometimes, and we just have to stay nimble, maybe just take trades that look the best and avoid the ones that don't look great. And if it's a small return, then it's a small return. Some days just do be like that. But you know what? There is going to be another day tomorrow. The markets will be open. We'll be getting CPI. We should see a lot more volatility off that print. So stay tuned, and we'll be back here tomorrow. And I'll be laughing all the way to the bank when we get those prints as well. So take care, folks. I'll see you then.
All right, really good stuff here, 13. We will catch you on happy hour later. Good stuff today. 13's departure leaves room for Anne-Marie, and I hope that you folks came up with some stuff here. Let's bring on Anne-Marie. Welcome back. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Doing great.
Do you find that this market is somewhat boring like we do?
Well, I don't, and it's because a boring market is always a good market because it's holding ranges, and I love to play the range, particularly in the future space. So,
and you're a serial option seller, as we've said before.
That's exactly right. And so, if you take a look at SPY, we'll go over that.
Perfect. You want to share your screen?
Oh, sorry about that.
It's all right.
Here we go. We talked about what would happen with the SPY, and so let's just take a look at the very interesting price action that we've had over the last several days. But really, you can see on the chart to my right, you're right too. Look at that. We're sitting in this big pocket, right? And so my thought was, hey, listen, let it get to the bottom, and you can sell a put spread right there on that edge and let it get back to the top, and you can sell your call spread. You can either take off your put spread if it's eroded fast enough, or leave it on there to collect all of it and then set up your call spread. It's ideal because we've got this undulating moving average and it gives us sideways motion. So because I don't really trade trend a ton, these are my favorite days to trade. So
Okay.
not too boring for me. But I do have some interesting setups for us to take a peek
great.
at. And so the first one would be that on that we saw this morning. And let's see if there are any big trades here. Okay, so nope, still low, but here's the interesting thing. This chart easily on any bounces are long puts into the next week and a half. So let's take a look at that. And so I did buy the 30 puts when I was talking about that with you guys. So I'm underwater. It's now 50 cents. It was 65 cents, but I'm going to hold this one. And it really is just into August's expiration. So 10 days, 50 cents, super cheap. See how much it moves. If it moves to being inside of the money, which, we've got a market maker move and implied vol saying it could potentially move as much as $2, which would put this $2 in the money, making it a 5x if you just closed it off right when it hit 32. So if you're into that, the chart does look like it's got way more downward flow in general, and any bounces ought to be sell zones. This one is breaking through its bottom with the target range around 25 over the next maybe 4 trading weeks. So if you want to look at something a little bit more than that, you can go to the September expiry, and you could do something like a 30 27.50 put spread that's 63 cents, or you could do the 32.50 35 short call spread for 70 cents. Nice place to move, and the price action should easily move downward. If you took both of those, you'd have about a negative 40 delta thereabouts. And so it could pay off pretty nicely if you take both of those. So next one that I have on the list is this mover, which is C. This is a Tim Melvin pick.
That's SE, right? Ticker SE?
SE.
Gotcha.
Yes. Beautiful trade. We have been long in the trade accelerator here for a hot minute with these guys, and they've done really well. Sold some spreads and moving up very nicely. These guys are in the transport business, and it looks really good. They're right up at resistance. And so the thought process is, what you want to do is wait for either the fade that gives you a long option, or sell yourself an iron condor in September. And that, of course, is something that I like to do all the time. And so you could do the 110, 105, 135, 140, because it's up at resistance. It's just going to take a little while, but you get almost half the spread. So very, very nice. If you're interested in just buying the long, then you want to put an alert. I would say an alert at about 115 is ideal. And so set an alert there. When it comes in, and it likely will, because this one loves to undulate. And when it comes in, you just take a long call spread in the space. Remember, whenever you're trading and you're looking for location, which is the most important thing when price action gets sticky like this, you want to wait for these areas that have proven out as support and or resistance to position yourself. So the top edge, if you're thinking, hey, I just want to short this because whatever, you want to go to that 146, and then you can take the 145, 150 call spread and get a tremendous amount of premium there.
Okay, now really quickly, you had mentioned that this was in the Trade Alerts Accelerator.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm supposed to be saying and what I'm not saying here, so reel me in if I go over the edge here. But can you talk a little bit about like first of all, what does that mean for those that don't know? It's picked as a long stock pick, and then there's an options trade layered on top of that.
That's yes.
Can you maybe go for a minute and talk about how that works there?
So how Trade Alerts Accelerator works is Tim has this magic box that he sticks his hand in and he pulls out and he goes, here's something, and here's why we ought to do it. And it's based on a variety of things.
By the way, it only works for him. I stuck my hand into that box and something bit me.
That's same for me. Look,
okay.
Just left without a finger. So it is magical. He's very magical, and he'll be on here tomorrow day, so don't miss, or 9, so don't miss it. I don't know, I can't remember the time.
He will be on at 8:30.
Yes, 8:30, in between. All right, great. And so once he picks it, then he says, okay, Anne-Marie, what do you want to do there? And so what we do are a combination of covered calls, long call spreads, long calls if you get them in the right space where the volatility matches, and short puts. And so we just ride that cycle there and roll around and through them as price action does its beautiful thing. So
that sounds like the combined powers of Anne-Marie and Tim in that product. So just wanted to mention that. I know sometimes we gloss over that, but cool that we actually took a trade from that. Anything else you want to cover?
If you guys have got stuff, I'm happy to run through it. I have a few, so I'm happy to.
Yeah, I was going to say I haven't seen one here yet from the group, so I would say keep rolling. But group, I would put the call out again. If there's a option trade that you would like Anne-Marie to structure and talk about the why here, now's the time to do that. Otherwise, we do have some more prepared for you. So Axon is one that Big Abees is bringing up. AXON. And I know exactly why he's asking about this, because this thing is a mover too. He's got a good beat on it. I'd be very curious to see what we can do here.
All right. So let's take a look at this guy. We've got an upward to flat 100 moving average. They broke down through it, now sitting above it. They had earnings last night, today, sometime yesterday after the close, and we're up over the earnings candle. So today actually is the candlestick that we look at for how well price responds to the earnings. So I don't know if they guided up.
It was Wednesday after hours here. They beat. Their sales guide was a beat. They guided 904.38 million versus an 876.45 million estimate.
Okay, so it's taken them 3 days to retrace the entire earnings move. So what does this tell us? Well, we've got the post-earnings drift that gave us that big candlestick, the gap down that then moved straight up into prior resistance, which I have here at 628. Obviously, it's a number that I have been watching. Not sure why I have 2 lines there, but the 630 pretty important. So the question is, what does this chart normally do when it gets through an earnings event and then rotates forward? And so we can see that often we've got this sideways move, a punch out, and then a rotation downward. And that's what it did last earnings. Let's take a look at just a little bit more from an earnings perspective and see what we have in the woods here. And yeah, we do normally see post-earnings drift that's negative. Sometimes it breaks higher, but then it always pulls back into the space. So this actually looks like a pretty nice profit-taking space, or a pretty good area to sell some premium. And so let's see what Axon gives us. Let's see what 10 days of premium will give us. You know, 650 to 660 gives us more than what we would normally get on an entire iron condor that's 10 wide. So that short call spread up there at 650 to 660 is pretty interesting to me. You could turn it into an iron condor. Let's see where that floor is. It's down there at 520. So doesn't give us much there at all. So I don't like the bottom edge of that, too much risk. But that short call spread by itself, 375. Normally for an iron condor, we would have a minimum of $2. This one works really, really nicely. It's going into resistance, so it might be worthwhile to say, you know, let's see how it does after the CPI print. It could be that the CPI print brings it down. If it brings it up, the spike could be into 660, at which point I suspect it rotates to the south.
Okay, that's interesting because right above the recent high, we do have a potential gap fill here. By my eyes, just kind of eyeballing it, looks about 660-ish, and that's up to what?
Looks like
707.
700.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Now, if it rushes through the gap, if you say to yourself, you know, I don't know, I think I might like the other side of that trade, you could take it right now. And if you said to yourself, hey, I'm going to look at the next 10-day move, and I think it's going to go to, I think it's easily going to go to 650 or 660. You can do the 630, 660, 690 butterfly. The wider your butterfly is, the more likelihood you have for upward flow. If you wanted to go right at that 650 and say, hey, I'll challenge that. I don't want to do the short spread. I want to do the long spread, and I want to use where all the volume is. You can do that 650, 700, 750, but holy cow, look at how expensive that butterfly is. That is an expensive butterfly. Still gives you 4 to 1, but that's an expensive butterfly.
I'm normally used to paying butterflies anywhere between $1 and $2. That's 12.
Yeah.
That would be out of my price range.
But it's also a $5,000 motion. So it is still 4 to 1. If you would imagine that being, you know, something that's only 10 wide, it would be a fifth of that cost, but still, yeah, it's wide, but it could easily work. Easily.
Okay.
The next thing that I've sort of been harping on sort of every time I come here is ServiceNow. And ServiceNow has done really well off of its break. It's just getting ready to turn positive on the weekly. That tells me it's coming into a little bit of overhead resistance up at this 140. I think it's not a space that you want to just jump in and go long, simply because there's a fair bit of momentum drift, and the momentum for this upside test over here versus the upside test the last time it had that price point at the beginning of June is very different. There's extreme negative divergence here. So it tells you that there is a likelihood of a pullback in the works here. Short term, because price action is moving, but I would not be surprised for this to come back into that 110 area. And if we look at that, and we say, hey, I don't know if it'll do it in 10 days. I think it's moving a little bit strongly for that, but it could have a leak that would give it that downward motion into that 115 area. The put wall is down here at 100. So they're very safely far away. You're not going to see any crazy motion there. But the 115 to 110 long call spread, long put spread is at 118. You could wait for price action to move a little bit higher and then take this particular trade, but it's long in the tooth. And this 100 moving average being downward like this, for me, I'm gearing up to add some more long exposure as it comes into that 106, 105 area. And I am currently peeling profit off right now and setting in some short call spreads.
Okay. I got a target here, 129.56. My target here for the day, as the bot is long now as we speak. So we'll see. We'll see what we get here. This is just a short trade, though. You're talking about something totally different. So
yeah.
Okay. Let's see how we've got 10 minutes left here. What else would you like to do? I haven't seen any other suggestions. Someone I think suggested Fermi, which we talked about a little bit earlier together. I don't know if you have anything on that or if you have another one, but otherwise we are free to go any direction we want now.
Yeah. So this Fermi is interesting one because I'm a mathematician by education. And so Fermi.
Enrico, good dude.
Fermi has given me a lot of sleepless nights, I can tell you. So, from that perspective, I mean, I simply love the name, and I love 13's backdrop on this one. From a price perspective, he's looking at the breach of 8 for this to get running, right? I think it's potentially going to be a breakaway move if that happens, because we've been basing since December of 2025, so almost a year. If you want to look at this and you say, hey, I'm going to hang on to these guys, here are a couple of things that you can do. This is for the long-term trader that's just thinking through things. If you think it's going to be a blast out and it's going to continue to move to the upside, you can go into December, have a look. You can buy the 1 calls and you can sell the 750 calls. Now, what that actually does is get you long the stock at $1 at any point you want to exercise that trade, right? Of course, it's cost you $4 to do it. If you bought this at 420, you said, all right, I'm going to keep it, and it breaks out above that 750 area, it's far enough in the future that it's not going to savagely expand. You could easily move it down to 11. down to 12. The end goal is to exercise this call at 1. So you get it at $1, no matter where it is. It turns into a covered call, and you actually have only paid $420 for it. And as you roll the strikes forward for the covered call event, you end up making money over time. So for me, listen, the implied vol is huge. It's 124%. So you might be looking at the earlier ones. Now, here's something else people do. You can say to yourself, okay, this is going to be my first fancy trade. So I'm going to sell the 8s in September, but I'm going to buy the 1s in December. Okay, what is that? It's diagonal, and you're protected by the 1 calls. If they come in and go, hey, I want to take your 8 calls, if you get assigned, right, and they take those, and you don't have them, you go, well, I got some 1s here. I'm going to use the 1s to cover. You're going to be in great shape. You're going to make good money. But every month, you want to roll that call downward. If it goes higher, you roll it into 9, you roll it into 10, and you continue to collect revenue stream while that 1 call gives you an entry point into the space. So absolutely beautiful. To me, look at what you're paying for time. The real price is $725. You buy the option at $680. Let's say you try to get it at the theoretical, which is right about $6, right? You're getting it right at cheap. 1 plus 6 is equal to 7. And so if you can get this for $6.50, it's going to be exactly the same as buying the stock outright. Only you can't, sell it or sell covered calls against it per se. You can just sell it into a spread. But this is an absolutely beautiful way to position into a stock that's on the cheap. Listen, if this thing goes back to 35, it'll be fantastic.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right? Kidding. I mean, and you do it over time. Once you collect it at 1, your break even is so low that you can continue to sell against it as it moves up. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, awesome there with Fermi. 13. Here's to more sleepless nights with Fermi. We'll see. Okay, and then Kennarp here. AMAT has earnings on the 13th. That's going to be Thursday. How do I get into bullish puts?
Okay, yeah, great. Love the bullish put. The bullish put will be short. And so let's take a look at what's going on. Very nice upside pressure, upside moving average on both of these. The monthly VWAPs are down, so price action has been moving in. Average true range has been moving in as price has been moving in. And today we're in a battleground, so they are waiting for the catalyst. The question is, where are the buyers most likely to engage? Well, we could see a sweep 3 weeks ago. I don't know, did the broad market do something yucky, or semis did something yucky, whatever? 484 all the way down to the high of the weekly earnings candle, which is 440, gives you that motion. So let's take a look at it. If we've got 440 and you want to get in on the quick, 440 is selling for 224, right? The theoretical is 277. You could try and sell it for 270, 275. Will give you a good shot at that space. if you want to be, that would be the most conservative. The least conservative of those good puts that are solid on the skinny tails of the curve would be 780. And of course, you can see there's a dramatic difference between the two. Theoretical is almost $9. You could try for that from a short put if you want to do the short put spread and not leave it naked for anyone else thinking about it. It's the 480 to 475 gives you $120, and that's okay. If you're looking for the high end of the range for where it could go, the traders have been battling really old resistance. Looks like about 578, right? 578 or so. And I think that would be, you could certainly say, okay, I'm going to go to 580, but let's see where the traders are sitting. Call wall at 550. There's a few of them at 580 and then 600. So if you want to be really conservative, you can say 595 to 600. I mean, that's almost half the spread. So that's great. And of course, you're going to get a lot more if you change this motion into, say, September. Wait, they don't do it by the fives in September yet. So yeah, you do it in August, 10 days, and that would be your money flow event into the earnings.
Okay. All right, Anne-Marie, great stuff here again. Thanks for helping out in the morning. That was absolutely awesome. And of course, these segments are just absolute money makers for us. So yeah, Anne-Marie, really appreciate it. We're going to catch you Friday, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Thanks for all that you do here. Hopefully not a sleepless night tonight. We'll catch in with you. We'll check up with you on Friday. Have a good one, Anne-Marie.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. That is Anne-Marie, folks. We are out of time here for today, but another great show here for you today. Do me a favor. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. We'll be back here again tomorrow. And as Anne-Marie mentioned, we will have Tim Melvin tomorrow. So you know it's going to be a fun morning as well as 13 also. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.